from Winnipeg, where the Bombers look to remain perfect on this season. A sellout crowd hopes to witness more dominance by their team, as Winnipeg has not lost to Edmonton in 7 years. Elks Bombers Thursday Night Football from Princess Auto Stadium coming up on TSN. Off the top of the show, I mentioned the team's success against Edmonton, but how about Zach Collaros? He has won his last 11 starts against the Elks and hopes to keep that streak alive and build off his first game of the season last week against the Lions.
And here's the man himself. He's got a little bit of pressure on him. Actually, it's quite a bit of pressure, and it is only getting more and more. And it is not going to be any easier tonight against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But Elks, it rests on his shoulders. Tre Ford.
When Tre Ford looks across the middle, he's going to have to watch out for Evan Holm, who's patrolling that secondary. The Bombers are the stingiest defense in the CFL early this season. Evan Holm already has his first interception.
Well, the Elks are not the stingiest defense so far in the CFL, but it certainly isn't this guy's fault. He has done fantastically everything to help them get their first win. Nick Anderson, leading the Elks with 9 tackles last week, seems to be the trend. He led the team with 9 again in the opening game. Can he get it done for this team? So much pressure on the defense and the offense, as they have yet to win a game so far this season. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Thursday Night Football on TSN. Kate Burness alongside Enoch Mwamba and Dave Naylor. Dave, I don't know if you know, Enoch's been on every single Canadian television show today. Is this true?
Not everything, but a couple.
You're doing CTV
Widely
National
exposed.
News in a bit, so I'm surprised you're not doing the sideline hits. But you know what? That's because Britt Dort is currently live in Winnipeg. And Britt, I know we were speaking before the show here, but all these Bomber fans that are going to be in attendance tonight, wondering if Nick Dembski is actually available.
Well, I have the news for you. He is. But we know he's holding on to that longest active streak for most games with a catch in a row at 73. So was he going to try to give that up? Not a chance. Was dealing with that ankle injury, but no, he is in the lineup. And here we have it, as you mentioned, an 0-2 Elks squad facing a 2-0 Bombers squad. And when we talked to Tre Ford this week about the start to the season, he said, well, there wasn't much to like from week 1 against BC, but he felt like they made some strides against Montreal last week. He said in the first half, we ran the ball well. In the second half, I felt like through the air we were doing a great job. You may remember they registered 22 points in that fourth quarter alone. So he said the problem is we can't have 400-plus net yards in offense and not be putting ourselves in positions to win games. Biggest message from Ford and head coach Mark Killam, as well as the Elks defense, we have to play a full 4 quarters of football. Now that defense going through some major growing pains right now. They have yet to register any interceptions or forced fumbles, only have 1 quarterback sack. One of the biggest messages, though, tell me if you've heard this one before, they said they have to stop the Bombers' run game. Defensive end Robbie Smith gave him credit. He said that's the bread and butter of this team, and it has been the last 5-6 seasons, and you're seeing it because even with Brady Oliveira out of the lineup, you're still seeing Cooley and Peterson both making an impact out there. And as you guys mentioned, Zach Collaros has had the Elks number, and they're looking for their first win against Winnipeg since 2018 tonight. I think the most important thing, Kate, we've talked about, probably for Edmonton to try to get on the board early here. What's going to be tough in front of this hostile crowd, though.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. And you know what, too? We're talking about streaks. How about this streak for Winnipeg right now and their home crowd? I mean, just incredible. Kudos to the CFL fans out in Winnipeg. But let's talk about this Elks team a little bit more, and we'll get back to that defense in just a minute. But off the top, you mentioned him. It's Tre Ford. And look, the numbers aren't bad. Actually, the numbers are quite good, to be quite honest with you. But we've been talking about this. He's got to get more comfortable in the pocket. He's got to get a little flow. He's got to get a little chemistry with the team. And it's just something we haven't seen yet from him.
Yeah, Kate, listen, they get 70% of their points are scored in the fourth quarter, and a lot of the times it's because they're already losing and the game's almost already out of reach. And so they need to do a better job, obviously, getting to that fourth quarter. I haven't seen Tre Ford consistently comfortable this season thus far. He is always either running out of the pocket, stepping back and throwing in the back foot and his back step. It's just difficult for him right now to see the field, and he needs to get to a place where he's comfortable, where he's consistent. One of the things they need to do a little bit better is really establish an identity of having a run game. You have Rankin, you have League, You have Trey Ford, who you know can run the ball as well, but you have to make that an identity of yourself. And I think it's going to take a little bit of pressure off of Trey Ford.
Well, you know, you talk about the things that he's facing today. Kay, you mentioned the sellout crowd in Winnipeg. That's one of the other things that he's going to have to deal with, because their opening week game was the Snoop Dogg crowd in BC, and it created some issues just in terms of getting in and out of the huddle, silent count the line of scrimmage, those kind of things. So he's got to have real command tonight early on. I think that's one of the keys for him. And yeah, balancing out the passing stats. Like, you look, if you didn't know anything about what happened the first two games, and you looked at Trey Ford's stat line, completion percentage in the 70s, good yardage, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, say he's off to a great start. But it's so heavily weighted to when those games have been out of reach. Live reps are the only way to develop, and yet, you know, these games matter. So it's a real balancing act for the Elks.
You know, as we mentioned, though, this isn't all on Trey Ford right now. I mean, defensively, this team has not been great whatsoever. Britt mentioned it. No INTs, no forced fumbles so far this season. I mean, they need to step up and give their QB some help.
Yeah, listen, all of their starters in that D-line are all former Toronto Argonauts. And so you would think...
You know them well.
I do. I play against them. And they have done pretty well in the past. But for whatever reason, they don't seem to be on the same page so far this year. You have Robbie Smith, you have Brinkman, you have Serezna, you have Barlow as well. They are the ones who are supposed to provide the pressure for opposing quarterbacks, and they haven't done that quite enough yet this year, because they were supposed to be the guys that were supposed to get the ball to Trey Ford as often as they can, and they haven't done that this year yet. So they have to also turn it up this week so far, so that this team can start to get rolling.
Yeah, it was an interesting approach from Edmonton's management in the offseason. You know, they're trying to develop Trey into their franchise quarterback, and they didn't go out and spend a ton of money on offensive talent around it. They went and spent it on the defensive side of the ball, hoping that that would take some pressure off him to have to make hero plays because the games would be close. Well, we're going into the game tonight. The Edmonton Elks are averaging giving up 34.5 points a game. They're playing a team that's leading the league at 17 points a game. So if they're going to keep this one close, Edmonton's defense is going to have to step up.
Yeah, it doesn't look great on paper, does it, tonight?
It does not.
No, it certainly does. But you know what? It's the CFL. We know that absolutely anything can happen. And you know what? You're right. Defensively, I mean, maybe it will just take some time to gel, too. I mean, it is super early in the season. We tend to overreact. But honestly, I just think it's so awkward sometimes. Speaking of awkward, how about the handshake? What are we doing here, Coach? And funny enough, they got this on cameras. Enoch and I coming into studio today. I went for that. Nope. No. Dave doesn't even care.
I missed it all.
I missed it all. What are you breaking trades over there?
The vibes are high in Winnipeg tonight, and why wouldn't they be? Strabbler strikes early, and the Bombers open it with a bang. Welcome to the Canadian Football League. Matthew Peterson. Look who it is. Zach Collaros back at the helm. Dalton Schoen with the touchdown. The 200th of Zach Collaros' illustrious career. Drops it off, and it's caught. Look at this.
Through week 3 in the CFL, the Blue Bombers are ranked as the second best defense in the league behind, of course, the Montreal Alouettes. The Bombers have led the league in each of the last 5 seasons in points allowed per game, off to a tremendous start, particularly because of their DBs. With more on that, here's Glenn Suter.
Yeah, Kate, when the Winnipeg Blue Bombers lost Tyrell Ford in free agency to Edmonton, he makes his return here tonight to Winnipeg. And then Brandon Alexander and the team parted ways. There was a lot of people that were concerned that the secondary may take some time to gel as this season and this journey began. Well, it's been anything but that. I mean, with Brandon Alexander gone and with Tyrell Ford now with the Edmonton Elks, it hasn't seemed to stop this defense. These DBs are making plays. The guy that replaced Tyrell Ford was Marquise Bridges at the corner. The BC Lions in 2 games have gone after him to try and test the young corner, inexperienced, but a very good cover guy, and he has come up with 2 interceptions. 2 interceptions for him. Evan Holm, I heard you guys talk about him earlier. One of the fastest, if not the quickest recovery DBs in the league, closing that space. He's got his first pick. And then you talked about Brandon Alexander. Different player for Jamal Parker. He's played halfback. He's played corner. They moved him to safety this year, and Jamal Parker had a scoop and score against the BC Lions and that acrobatic interception you just saw. So there was a lot of concerns that one of the weaknesses of this team could be the secondary coming into this season. It's been anything but that. They are the strength of this defense right now, Kate.
From defense to offense, in Zach Collaros' top touchdown receiver since entering the league back in 2012. Collaros has thrown 201 career touchdown passes for 4 different teams. Those 201 touchdowns have been spread across 45 different targets, with current teammate Nick Dembski, who is in tonight, by the way, leading the way with 25. He still has a long way, though, to catch Anthony Calvillo, who has the record at 455. With more on one of Zach's favorite targets this season, here's Takia Singh.
You can't sleep on a team that's been to 5 straight Grey Cups. The Bombers are off to a hot start with a young receiver that appears ready to steal the spotlight as the playmaker. With number 88 on his back as a nod to Dallas Cowboy great Michael Irving, Carrick Wheatfall has exceeded all expectations with a team-high 11 catches for 213 yards and a touchdown through Winnipeg's first 2 wins.
Looking deep, down the field, drops it in at the 5, touchdown, Strickler strikes again. It's Carrick Wheatfall.
After dominating the Lions defense in back-to-back weeks with 2 different starting quarterbacks, Wheatfall will get the opportunity to build on his chemistry with veteran Zach Collaros on Thursday Night Football. Collaros was 6 for 6, targeting Wheatfall in Winnipeg's Week 3 win over BC. Now they'll face an Elks defense that's allowed 320-plus passing yards in each of Edmonton's first 2 losses. The Bombers, Alouettes, and Riders are a combined 8-0 straight up and against the spread, entering Week 4 with Winnipeg back at full strength and a dynamic new playmaker in the spotlight. The Bombers are expected to stay hot as FanDuel's biggest favorite of the season to date on Thursday Night Football.
It isn't ideal to start a season 0-2. There were some positives for Edmonton in their first game versus their second. Case in point, Curly Gittens Jr. His first game was a rough outing, but his second, he had 95 yards receiving and 1 TD. Recently, our Matthew Shinetti sat down with Curly to talk about Edmonton, him becoming a veteran in the league, and a friendship with a fellow receiver on a rival team.
Who is the best Canadian receiver right now?
Touchdown! A welcome home for Curly Gittens Jr.
That's a great question.
Well, I'm putting you on the spot.
Big catch. Curly Gittens goes up and rips it down.
If we're going from off a body of work, I'll put myself up there.
Down the field looking for Gittens, goes up and gets it! Oh boy, a beauty!
You consider yourself a vet now? Like when you think about everything you've been through, all the experiences you've had, like where are you in your career at this moment?
Just being around the guys, I try to keep myself young. You know, obviously I know I'm still young. I still kind of want to, you know, be, in a sense, like just open-minded and just, you know, still willing to learn, which I am, and not putting too much pressure on, you know, being the OG or being the vet, because I still think I got so much to learn about, you know, the game of football, just the game of life in general.
What are you chasing now?
I'm chasing just to be great every single day, just consistency, you know, consistent greatness.
That greatness is already being recognized. I saw your Hall of Fame speech for Laurier.
I never thought when I started playing football anything like this would be possible. This is a surreal moment.
What did you feel when you got that call?
It still hasn't hit me, to be honest with you. I don't even know when it's going to hit me. It felt a little bit like a relief at that level. All the sacrifices, all the hard work that I put in just to, you know, help my team and just, you know, be the football player that I'd be proud of to help me get to this point of my life. I'm never satisfied with being where I am. Yeah, we won a Grey Cup 2 years ago, but that was 2 years ago. And I'm on a new team right now, and I got hurt 2 years ago. So a whole bunch of factors are, you know, motivating me to push myself and, you know, to show that I can be great. It wasn't just for a 3-year span or whatever it is, you know. And I don't want to be considered just one of the best Canadian receivers. I don't want to be put in the box of just being a Canadian receiver. I want to be put in the box as one of the best receivers in the CFL.
Reggie Pegleton! Oh my goodness, are you kidding me?
For example, Reggie came to train with us. He's been in the league longer than I have, and like you said, I consider a vet now, but I don't consider myself. When I'm around older guys, I give their, you know, respects, and I'm always willing to take criticism.
You could tell that he wants the success, and he just needs the answers to the test. And he was one of those guys that was willing to reach out for those answers, and I'm always willing to give those answers.
What is it about someone like Reggie? I think about everything that he has seen, winning a championship early in his career, like you did, going through, admittedly, difficult times and a bit of adversity now with the Stampeders. And especially last year, he owned a message where he said, basically publicly and to the team, this isn't good enough. When you look at a guy like that, even when you're still trying to learn in your mid to late 20s, what does he offer you? Like, why maybe is it important to build those relationships with guys that you still look up to, even though you've accomplished a lot in this league?
Experience and his mindset, like how he goes about dealing with those things. And we chatted a little bit, and his thing was, you know, he's here to work, you know, like it's, he comes, you know, he want to have fun and all that, you know, fun stuff. But for him, it's a business, and he knows what it takes to win because he's won before.
I train with multiple NFL guys. Multiple NFL guys. I see the work ethic. I hear the language of elite. Once you continue to be around that kind of circle, it naturally is instilled in you. You can see the hunger that he has. He just needs the opportunity to put himself in the best positions to expand his game.
One of the ones that's really putting that work in. Canadian, bro. Yeah, feed me the ball. That's all it is. You know football.
Are there any young Canadian receivers who are coming up, whether they're in youth sports right now or guys in the league, who you're playing the role that Reggie plays with you?
I know a few, especially, you know, from my university. His name is Ethan Jordan. He's very talented. He broke some of my receiving records at Laurier, so, you know, he's definitely a receiver to look out for. I feel like he's going to have a successful career if he just, you know, keeps doing what he's doing and just trusting the process. Anyone they know, they can always reach out to me if they want to. You know, I'm right around the corner. You know, I'm always working, and they're always welcome. So for me, it's just put myself out there like, hey, I don't got no ego. You know, if you want to work with me, you know where I'm at, and the gym's always open.
Well, this is a discussion we never really want to have. Week 4 of the CFL season. It's how many starting quarterbacks are injured and what are their statuses. So let's start with Nathan Rourke in BC. We know he's dealing with that oblique injury. What's the latest?
Nathan Rourke today at practice was doing some light tossing, but did not participate at all in team drills. And another kind of indication, and it hasn't been ruled out by Buck Pierce, the head coach, but one of the indications that he's unlikely to play, they split the rest of the reps between Jeremiah Mazzoli and Chase Price, which, you know, would suggest that Nathan Rourke's not going to play, but we'll wait and see.
Let's go to Montreal now. Davis Alexander. And look, that injury was obvious with the hamstring, but where's he at?
Yeah, Davis Alexander did not practice at all this week. He has been ruled out for the game. McLeod Bethel-Thompson, of course, came on relief against the Edmonton Elks last week. He will get his first start as a Montreal Alouette.
And as we said, too, I mean, watching this injury, it's so obvious what is wrong. He's actually, like, holding on to the hamstring. So I think that this was a little shocking when in Saskatchewan we get the news that Trevor Harris all of a sudden is injured. What is the latest on him?
Yeah, Trevor Harris was held out of practice yesterday in concussion protocol. He was a full participant today in Regina. Now, it was one of those closed practices, so we couldn't see what was going on. But in fact, he was a full participant coming out of protocol, would suggest that there's an opportunity for him to play. But Corey Mace, their head coach, said afterwards he would have to watch the tape.
That was it. So that's it. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, I didn't think he was watching this particular play, and you can see that that's obviously not what you want to see happen to your quarterback. But I guess watching tape at practice is one thing you do, and then the last one is obviously Drew Brown in Ottawa. Will we see him anytime soon?
Yeah, he's got kind of that oblique hip pointer injury, and this is one that they're concerned about, that if you play before you fully recovered, it's an injury that you have the chance of really exaggerating and making worse. They're playing the long game here. They were really happy with how Dustin Crum did at Calgary in those adverse conditions, so he will get the start for them on Sunday.
We really judge of how anyone played in Calgary, though, with 55-kilometer winds and rain coming right at you?
I'd say it'll be easier to throw the football Sunday in the nation's capital.
Let's just say, too, the conditions quite nicer in Winnipeg tonight. Coming up after the break, Britt is standing by with Willie Jefferson.
This is Trey Ford's team.
He is officially Edmonton's #1 QB. Back to throw, intercepted. Ford pressured again. They've been relentless tonight.
He has to play to get better. That's what people don't understand. The season is young. His career is young. He's got to make a statement.
End zone, intercepted. Ford wants to load up, loses the ball as he's taken down.
Not the start for their young quarterback, Trey Ford, that they'd hoped for.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, the numbers have been good for Trey Ford, but he hasn't looked comfortable yet this season. Bomber fans hoping that trend continues tonight, and so does one Willie Jefferson. Here he is with Britt.
Willie, your team off to a great start, 2-0 to start the season. What are you liking from this group so far?
Just the intensity, the attention to detail, how everybody wants to play for each other. We want to play for our fans. You know, the last couple of home games we've been having sold-out crowds and things like that. So the energy is right here, right? You know what I'm saying? We want to play for our teammates. We want to play for the fans, and we just want to go out here and play Winnipeg football.
Well, you know Edmonton's going to be hungry for their first win of the season. What do you have to do to try to contain Trey Ford tonight?
Just try to get to him early and often. Take away his first read and try to make him be a quarterback in the pocket, right? You know what I'm saying? We know he can get out the pocket and make some plays with his legs as long as we can get to him early, make him stay in the pocket and contain him. We have a good day.
Well, I know you're still looking for your first sack of the season. It'd be career number 75 if you do get it tonight. What kind of celebration could we anticipate if you do get it?
Celebrate with my teammates, right? That's something that, you know, we preach here in Winnipeg. Got to celebrate with our teammates. I got my little girls here. You know, I got in trouble last week, so I might do a little something for them.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Willie.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Okay, Willie, you know I absolutely adore you, but there is no chance if you get your first sack of the season that you're not celebrating. And, you know, I'll give Willie this, too. He was, you know, going through the crowd. He was saying how great the fans are. But we're seeing this.
Yeah, he's not going to be with his teammates.
If he gets a sack, we all know it.
He's not going to be with his teammates.
Okay, quickly, this defense, though, and we're going to stop doubting them when we have this year, too. But even with all the players that they lose each and every year, this is such a consistently great D.
They have been consistent. They have been consistent from the start of the season. We always talk about the Montreal Alouettes as being one of the best defenses in this league right now, but the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are dominant defensively speaking. Yes, we know about their offense and Zach Collaros and how he can play and how he can take the game over. But this defense has been performing to a high level. Glenn was already talking about the DBs, but I love Tony Jones at the middle of that defense, who came in, and we talk about it a lot. Adam Bighill leaves. Tony Jones comes. Who is this guy? But he is leading this team, and he's doing a great job. He always racks up the tackles, and he communicates extremely well. And, of course, we got Willie J., who is always a nightmare to these quarterbacks.
You know, the Bombers on offense, some of the names and faces change, but the formula stays the same. Physical up front, run the football, set the tone early, even without Brady Oliveira. And then it feels like every season, a new receiving star emerges in Winnipeg. Remember Dalton Schoen out of nowhere? Bang, right? Ontario Wilson, bang, right? Eric Wheatball, bang, right? Every year, you look at that depth chart and say, well, I wonder what that guy's going to do. And you see the explosion already happening. Wheatball leading them in receiving. So much of what Winnipeg has done to be successful in the past, we see repeating. Of course, Zach Collaros being the consistent.
Well, Enoch, I was going to say that, too. One of the first things that you mentioned when we were in BC last weekend was the fact how aggressive Zach came out, too. And I'm sure sitting there the first week and having to watch his team play, too. I mean, tonight, do you expect the exact same from Collaros?
Absolutely expect the exact same, if not even more, Kate. I see this team, as they've heard all of us talking about the last few years and them getting to the Grey Cup and them losing and all of that. Zach Collaros seems to have a high level of focus this year, and he already missed one game, only gave him even more motivation to even perform at a higher level. I mean, we know how dominant they've been, but this year they seem to be saying the Grey Cup is in our backyard, and we will not only be there, but we will take it. And this is a great start for this Winnipeg Blue Bomber team, Dave.
No, it absolutely is. And you think of it last year, the 0-4 start, all of the doubt, and yet you looked up to the end of the season, and there where they were, almost methodically over the course of the season. This year, the tone is much stronger, and as I say, you've got to know that having that Grey Cup in their backyard and the chance to avenge what's happened the last several, that's the motivation.
By the way, I really thought about it in the preview show, too, because I'd say 3 years ago, we're like, okay, they're getting too old. This is going to happen again. And then last year, we were like, oh, no, maybe they're all right. This year, all of us said, you know what, the Bombers are going to be just fine. We have learned our lesson on this panel. We've got the Elks. We've got the Bombers. It's Thursday Night Football. Kicking off week number 4. Kickoff coming up.
We don't take L's, we give them out. We pumped up, ready to take them out. We on fire, no one can put us out. We do it for the win and we do it for the clout. Now shout, throw your hands up and wave. Set the stage ablaze, we made the front page. Whole team winning, celebrate for days. We share the limelight, catch us on center stage.
Week 4 kicks off in Winnipeg, where the Bombers look to remain perfect on the season, while Edmonton is looking for their first win. Enoch, I have signed you up to drive this plane in a couple weeks.
I'm in, Kate. You know me.
I know you are.
What's the weight limit, though?
Not sure.
pressure keeps mounting, and all eyes on Trey Ford tonight as they're still searching for their first win tonight. He can throw, he can run, but can he put it together?
After missing almost all of last season with an injury, Dalton Schoen is back at full strength. Already has his first touchdown of the season. Remarkable, his 27th of his career. This guy has a nose for the end zone.
Meanwhile, on D, the Winnipeg defense has been fantastic, led by the one and only Willie Jefferson, but he did get tossed in BC. This was one of my favorite quotes of the week. He got an earful from his family. He got in trouble by his girls, his wife, his mom, and his grandmother. Everyone just laying into him. You gotta love a great room full of women. Alongside Enoch Wawamba and Dave Naylor, we get set for a little Thursday night football. We do turn our attention now to Edmonton because I feel like I get it. It's only week 4 in the CFL, but the pressure seems to be mounting. Yes, on the defense. They brought in all these guys to bolster this D. And then, of course, on Trey Ford, it just seems like the pressure cooker is getting a little tighter, Enoch.
Listen, the season's progressing, and there's still no win to show for this Edmonton Elks team. And Trey Ford has to be looked at. We talked about this offseason. We talked about the move to give him the keys to this offense. What is he going to produce? How is he going to produce with this offense is still the question. Again, we talked about how much he can run, but no defense is going to be fearful of you just running around and getting first downs every once in a while. He's got to be able to stand in that pocket, watch the pressure, and throw right into it.
Yeah, this is a real balancing act for the Elks because there's something I call snowball teams. You start to lose games early, 2 becomes 3, 3 becomes 4. And the Elks were the last few years, 0-7, 0-8. This is a team that's trying to rebuild its fan base. They cannot get to 0-7, 0-8 again. And it's not all on Trey Ford, but I think the key message coming out of Edmonton is they will stick with him as long as he continues to show improvement. There was improvement from game 1 to game 2. He needs to show that again tonight against a very tough defense and a hostile
Well, and we keep looking at the schedule, too. And we're like, when is this cutoff day? And I think a lot of people are looking at that bye week right now. But it starts tonight. And honestly, too, it starts with the defense as well. A sellout crowd hoping to witness more dominance by their team. Kickoff coming up next.
We don't take L's, we give them out. We pumped up, ready to take them out. We on fire, no one can put us out. We do it for the win and we do it for the clout. Now shout, throw your hands up and wave. Set the stage ablaze, we made the front page. Whole team winning, celebrate for days. We share the limelight, catch us on center stage.
What a way to start week 4 in the Canadian Football League. Sun shining down on a sold-out Princess Auto Stadium as the Bombers get set to welcome the Elks to town. Winnipeg rolls in after back-to-back victories against the BC Lions. Edmonton comes in after a loss against BC, a loss against Montreal. One of their big offseason acquisitions, though, returns to a place he's familiar with.
Tyrell Ford comes back home, back to Winnipeg, back to Princess Auto Stadium. 7 interceptions, a lot of them right here on this field for Tyrell Ford. He'll be matched up against a guy who has emerged in that receiving corps for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in a big way. Carrick Wheatfall has 4 explosives in 2 games. That's big plays over 30 yards.
Yeah, leads the league in that category. His coach has to be loving it, Mike O'Shea. He's won 12 in a row against Edmonton. Is that good?
Wow.
That's dominance right now. He's 16-8 in his career coaching against Edmonton, and that guy's still looking for his first win as a head coach in the Canadian Football League. Mark Killam, as I mentioned earlier, losses to BC and Montreal. Not an easy schedule. You have to find results if you're Killam and Edmonton here early in the season. And it will be the visitors who get the ball to start. Leak and Arkell Smith are back awaiting the kickoff from Castile. Jam-packed Princess Auto, 7th consecutive sellout here in Winnipeg. And we are ready to get Canada Day weekend in the CFL underway. There we go. Castile will get us started. Smith takes it at the 22. Back to the 30, and he's tripped up. And that is where Edmonton will go to work. Hallett with the special teams tackle.
Well, you heard the panel in the pregame show talk about the pressure that is on Trey Ford. He has the keys to the car, played better in week 2 than week 1. According to his assessment when we talked to him this week, he's completed 71% of his passes, a couple of touchdowns, a couple of interceptions. A lot of that, though, in the fourth quarter when games are out of reach. He's got to get off to a good start here against a very good defense.
He has started 20 career games, 9 wins, 11 losses, 0-3 against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Crowd here will not do him any favors. They started their 30 on the ground. Rankin pushing ahead. Get about 5 yards on that first down pickup, at least 4.
Couple of changes up front. Mark Evans will slide in at guard, and Mark Corte will go over to center because David Beard, the all-star from a year ago, is out of the lineup, so they'll shuffle up front. The Edmonton offensive line, and you know, when this team was winning a couple of games last year, when they had success offensively, it went through their run game. That RPO type of play, that's what they just ran on first down. That's where Rankin comes in.
Rankin will step up to the left of his quarterback. 2nd and 6 here. Ford looking to throw early, gets it away, and that will be close to a first down. Very close. Gets it to Dunbar. That's his 10th catch of the season.
Well, Trey Ford made sure of this throw when he knifed it in there on that little curl from the outside. Threw it inside shade to keep it away from the defender, but he put some mustard on that throw.
They end up ruling it an incomplete.
Right through Dunbar. Yeah, you saw it hit.
Incomplete after they get another look at it. So that will be easy. No decision to be made here for Killam. And they'll punt it away.
Not the start.
You don't want to go 2 and out.
Here.
Cody Grace is averaging 51.5 yards per punt. And he gets this away cleanly from his own 25. That hangs way up there. Davil takes it at the 20. And a short return just beyond the 25. And our first look at Zach Collaros this evening.
Remember, he was suspended for game 1, so that was Chris Streveler's game. Streveler led the team to a win there, and in game 2, Zach Collaros threw for 179. A couple of interceptions he thinks he can improve on going into game 2 of this campaign, and this is a team that their offense goes right through their run game. Brady Oliveira not in the lineup.
17 touchdown passes for Zach last year. 6 of them came in one game against Edmonton. On the ground, short pickup, first touch of the game goes to Matthew Peterson.
Micah Vanderpool still out at left guard, so it will be Gabe Wallace playing in that spot. Coach O'Shea said he played pretty well in that game against the BC Lions. And Dalton Schoen, what is the trivia question? Which Bomber receiver caught the 200th touchdown of Zach Collaros' career?
Can I guess?
You can guess.
Was it Dalton Schoen?
It was Dalton Schoen.
Yes.
Correct. You are correct.
I knew it. 4 options out to the right, including Schoen and Dembski, who is playing. That one's laid up there. And that will be close to a first down as they get Stearns involved in the game. He's catching passes at an 80% clip this year.
Good recognition by Zach to recognize the defense quickly, and as soon as Stearns turned around, he put the ball right on him.
Stearns, an under-the-radar addition in the offseason. Comes in with experience, a couple years with the Riders, and has fit in nicely so far here with Collaros and Streveler earlier in the year. 1st and 10 on the ground again, and this is closed off immediately. Brinkman was there with Serezna. Let's take a look at this Edmonton defense.
Yeah, we talked to Jake Serezna this week, and he said this defense has got to start making plays. A lot of pressure on the O, a lot of pressure on Trey Ford. They all get that, but they got to make plays. Haven't had an interception, haven't had a fumble recovery. Nick Anderson has 18 tackles. He can sign his portrait, but the secondary's got to start making some plays in the back end, and Tyrell Ford can get things started back here at Princess Auto Stadium.
Anderson with 9 tackles in each of the first 2 games of the year. We're going to bring some heat. Collaros gets it away a little too high over the hands of Wheatfall, and that will bring up 3rd and long, and they'll be forced to kick it back to Edmonton.
You know, and Jake Serezna wanted to put a lot of pressure on his D-line, that meeting room, and say, we've got to get some pressure on this quarterback. We got to make him uncomfortable in the pocket. Now, he had a pocket, but Serezna flashed just as Collaros let that one go.
Jamison Sheen called into duty for the first time tonight. Low kick taken just inside the 35 by Leak, and he's forced out of bounds. Trey Ford looking for his first win against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He'll have the ball for a second time when we return to Princess Auto Stadium on Thursday Night Football. Last week at home against Montreal, decent numbers, but too little too late in that football game, wasn't it?
Well, it was his third 300-yard passing game, so yeah, the numbers look pretty good. 2 touchdowns, just the 1 interception, 27 of 36, but a lot of it in the fourth quarter. Montreal had control of that game at that point. So, you know, that's the question. Can he do it? Get a good start here and get the heavily favored Bombers, and they should be, you know, on their heels a bit.
They'll screen it out over to Curly Gittins Jr. against his Winnipeg defense.
Yeah, now to do that, they're going to have to try and beat Willie Jefferson, make sure they block him and keep his hands down at the line of scrimmage. That's equally important as blocking him. Retta Cranby in the linebacking core, to me, is sort of an unsung hero of this defense, and I think the strength of the group is in their back end. And what a game by Jamal Parker against the BC Lions in Game 2 out there in BC. He had a scoop and score and an interception in that game.
Yeah, more on him coming up a little bit later in the quarter. Here's Ford. Down the field, wide open. Arkell Smith takes it to the 40. Down to the 35-30 before he's eventually tripped up. Parker and Michael Griffin, I believe, together on the tackle.
Well, in Series 1, the one where Stephen Dunbar dropped it, you know, that would be the
illegal
third
contact. Winnipeg #1. That penalty is declined. First down.
Declined penalty. They'll take the play, but that's 2 or 3 throws now, including that one to Stephen Dunbar, that are right on the money from Trey Ford to get this game started. That's the play they needed to get in plus territory.
Over the middle, down the field, mix it up a little bit.
Time for some yak yards in there.
6th catch of the year for Arkell Smith. They'll work from the Winnipeg 30. On the ground again, Rankin with a big hole. Made one man miss, tripped up just inside the 20, and that'll be a first down for the visitors.
Yeah, good patience by Rankin here. Extra offensive lineman in the game. And you take a nice patient step, wait for those blocks, and look at the hole he's got off that outside the C gap, which is just outside the tackle. And thought he should have had more.
First down from the Winnipeg 19. They'll toss it back. Julian Grant takes it to the 20, down to the 15, 10, puts on the brakes, and is tracked down from behind. A little creativity in the offensive game right now for Edmonton.
Digging deep into the playbook here. Julian Grant right there, down as a tight end almost in the formation. He'll waggle out, take a big loop around and go the opposite direction, a little misdirection, making those defensive linemen keep their eyes up and maybe slow that pass rush a little bit.
Winnipeg's defense allowing just 17 points per game so far this year. The offensive coordinator for Edmonton, Max Simic, looking to finish a drive here, 1st and goal. Rankin up the middle, pushing ahead, and he'll be stopped just shy of the end zone.
Looks like it'll be about the 1-yard line, and immediately Trey Ford turned to the bench to signal short yardage. Good drive there by Rankin to pick up the extra 2 to get it down to the 1-yard line. Or actually about 1.5.
It's about
really.
1.5. Yeah, I was going to say it's not right on the 1. They're probably more like the 2 here when they're snapping it. Cody Fajardo into the game. A couple of touchdowns in this situation already this year. Trying to push it ahead.
saying no.
Short. We'll get another closer look at this.
Zach Mathis saw it. He had a great angle, and he thought, watch to the top right of your screen when Cody Fajardo reaches out there. We'll see every potential score is looked at by the replay center.
Is under review by the replay center.
So did he cross the ball there? Yeah.
That's a touchdown.
And that's what Mathis saw, number 81. Top of your screen said he pulled the ball over.
Looks like the veteran quarterback, Cody Fajardo, did just enough to get that ball across the plane.
Looked like he did.
You see, Fajardo was like, go on. All right. Let's get the official ruling down on the field.
After review, the ruling on the field is overturned. We have a touchdown.
Cody Fajardo's third touchdown of the year caps off a 6-play, 65-yard drive that took just over 4 minutes for Edmonton and ends in a major.
Yeah, that key play of the drive, the throw over the middle to Arkell Smith. He got some yards after the catch, but a real accurate throw from the pocket by Trey Ford. And this is exactly what this underdog Elks team, and justifiably so when coming into this game, needed to do. Score first.
Well, Winnipeg against BC in those two back-to-back games led 18-3 and 17-3 in each of those games, right? So they got out to very good starts. They trail here as that is up and it is through. And Edmonton on the road looking for their first win of the season. They have a 7-0 lead after Cody Fajardo gets the job done.
We and the visiting team in Princess Auto Stadium haven't won for 12 straight games against this team. You need a good start. Edmonton's off to a good start. That play to Arkell Smith was a 29-yarder. Nice throw over the middle from Trey Ford. Some interesting and innovative play calls by Jordan Maximic in the drive to get down to the one, and Cody Fajardo finishes it off. Good start here in Winnipeg.
Lots of talk around the league about Edmonton struggling both on offense and defense. And here in the early going of this one, defense makes a nice stop.
Yep.
Third and long situation, then the offense drives the field. So small movement in a positive direction, but the task at hand here against a very good Bombers team is not easy. Valinal with some speed, great return. Takes it just outside the 40, which is excellent field position for that man, Zach Collaros, who is looking for an early response here at home in front of a sold-out crowd at Princess Auto Stadium. Well, he had to wait a little bit to get back in action, but I thought he looked pretty good when he did last week.
Yeah, he did. I mean, you know, especially opening the game with a nice drive, getting the Bombers out in front. Then they go to their, you know, to their formula that has worked so well, which is, that was number 200, by the way, that deep throw to Dalton Schoen. Got on the move. How about that one? Tui Ellie.
Big man's got mitts.
Extra offensive line.
Collaros throwing here. They'll roll him out to his right, dumps it off. And tackle made by Jalen Barnes with his first career start.
But he's tough to beat here, Zach. 50 and 15 here. You take a look at his 11-game win streak versus Edmonton. You know, and when you look at the number of yards, I know the magic number is always 300 there, but you know, I saw Damon Allen win championships at around 180 a game.
Was that rushing or passing yards?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the balance of this.
All, right?
That's the balance this Bomber team brings.
That's a completion to Schoen. His first catch of the game. Right at the first down marker. Tackle made by Nick Anderson, who's usually all over the field. And it is a first down for Winnipeg.
Just think of that, though. 50 and 15. Since becoming a Bomber here at Princess Auto Stadium. And you've mentioned it a couple times, but 7th straight sellout. And there's only a few left for the next game on July 18th here.
which I think I just saw is being advertised as 90s night. Kolaris gets it away, was pressured, hit, and a flag at the end of the play. That's Jalen Garnes, who we were just talking about, the 24-year-old out of Wake Forest. Let's get the call here.
Roughing the passer, Edmonton number 25. It's a 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Well, Garnes comes off the edge. He's new in that linebacking core. Top of your screen, they've moved Cordell Jackson back into the secondary to play halfback. And where's the hit? Too high to the face.
Hand to the head. And that'll be an automatic flag.
Yeah, Garnes was trying to knock that ball down as he was approaching Kolaris, and arm followed through and went right to the head.
Nice spot for Garnes to make his debut alongside Niles Morgan and Nick Anderson, who've been pretty good over the last couple of seasons. Both of those guys with 100 tackles last year.
Yeah, Garnes at Wake Forest was a safety. So he knows in American football, you're going to make a lot of tackles at the safety spot. He played both strong and free.
2nd and 10 here. Kolaris down the field. Is hauled in just inside. Right around the 25. Jarrett Stearns has his 2nd catch of the ball game.
Getting Jarrett Stearns involved here. He's going to just go down the field and take his time on the curl route, but the ball is in the air before he comes back to the football. Boy, Zach Kolaris raves about Jarrett Stearns.
1st and 10 from the 25. That one is read well and wrapped up immediately. Anderson there on the tackle.
You know, we always ask about Dalton Schoen and how that chemistry is being rebuilt again, and ask Zach how the rest of the receiving core, and Wheatfall has made such a, you know, he's on center stage because of his ability to blow the top off defenses in those big plays. But it seems like every time we zoom with Zach, he goes, you know, Jarrett Stearns is a great player.
Video official, we have an incomplete pass on the play. 2nd down.
So it was to Wheatfall. It's ruled incomplete. Wasn't a pickup anyway. But if you would have had him in fantasy tonight, that would have been a point for a catch.
Timer, please reset the game clock to 3:55.
So they'll reset the clock, and it'll be 2nd and 10.
I think that wasn't a ruling by the official. That was a ruling by Nick Anderson. Incomplete was his ruling.
3rd in the league in tackles, Anderson. He's only played 2 games, but he's already up there. Kolaris over the middle. He's got Schoen, and Schoen's inside the 10. First down, Winnipeg, as they march on looking for a response.
Yeah, to make this play, you have got to, first of all, have your receiver be patient to get to that seam. You have to have a throwing lane down the middle, as Zach Kolaris does, and then as soon as he opens up in between those linebackers, the ball arrives. Nice response by the Bombers offense after the score by Edmonton.
Matthew Peterson stands in behind. His quarterback, Kolaris, is going to be throwing here towards Dembski. Touchdown, Nick Dembski! The Bombers bounce back. His 3rd of the season. And the streak continues for Nick.
Dembski was a game day decision, meaning that Michael O'Shea was going to decide today with the training staff, had a bit of an ankle injury as to whether or not he could even go in this one. With that streak on the line, he wanted to make sure he was out there. He looked good in warm-up. They let him dress and get into this starting lineup, and that's number 3 on the season.
Castile, he misses it. Castile blows it wide. That's his 2nd one of those that he's missed this year.
Nick Dembski, game time decision. The only decision was, is he going to get to the end zone or not? He does. 74 games in a row with a catch.
Kept the streak alive last week, Nick Dembski, with just one catch, and it was a little shovel pass. We asked Zach Collaros if he knew the streak was on the line, and he said, "Are you kidding? That's my guy. I did know it was on the line, and we wanted to get him one with that wonky ankle." He's back in the lineup. Zach puts together this drive, 8 plays, 68 yards. After the Edmonton score, that's what good teams do. They respond, and that drive capped off there with a touchdown from Nick Dembski, and the streak continues. 74 and counting.
Collaros already connecting with 4 different receivers in this ball game in this first quarter. They do trail, though, after Castillo missed the extra point. And now he stands ready to kick this away. Arkell Smith, Javon Leak, way back on the 15 for Edmonton. This is in the direction of Smith. Just inside the 15. Smith straight up the middle, take it down at the 35. Well, different players step up on good teams. And last week, it was the safety Jamal Parker had the interception, second of his career. And then he scooped it, and he scored it. For more on him, let's send it down to Britt Dorn.
Well, the funny thing about that play, Dustin, is that he didn't even think that touchdown counted. He said, "That's why you didn't really see me celebrate. I just assumed the whistle had blown." But he might be able to credit his defensive coordinator, because every day in practice, they do a drill called loose change, where every ball that drops, they scoop it, and they take it into the end zone. So, Dustin, I know you love this one. Loose change paid off.
Nailed it. Well done, Brett. And you're going to pick up that ball, have a chance to score, you're going to take it, right?
Yeah.
Parker was all over the place last week.
Yeah, made a lot of plays. And, you know, I think I mentioned this secondary, but that was a decision that had to be made in the offseason. Jamal Parker's played a lot of the different spots. He's played corner, he's played halfback. He's got experience in the league. He's been around 4 years. But the switch to free safety, when Brandon Alexander and the team parted ways, they had to fill that spot. Different style of player, definitely, from Brandon. But, boy, did he make an impact against the line.
2nd and 5 here for Ford. Leak in the game at running back. They'll give it to him. He takes it ahead, and he's got a first down. So a series in the game for Javon Leak. They obviously, Rankin and Leak, they can mix them up a little bit, get them out there sometimes at the same time. And right now, it's Leak.
Well, last year they averaged 131 yards a game rushing. You know, and a lot of that came off the RPOs with Trey Ford, as I mentioned, and they can rotate those 2 guys. You got the breakaway Leak and Justin Rankin, who can kind of do it all. I mean, he can run away from people, but he's going to run from between the tackles as hard as anyone in the league.
1st and 10 at the 48 for Edmonton. Ford fakes the handoff, turns far side. Dunbar coming back to the ball. He's got it. He's going to turn. He hangs on, and he takes it down inside the 40. Dropped one earlier on, but hangs on and does some damage here.
Dunbar in the one-on-one. He's all by himself to the short side of the field. Comeback route. He came back hard, too, on the timing, the catch, and that's Bridges who went down. Bridges has a couple interceptions, been tested by the Lions in the first 2 games. Came up with a couple of picks, which is tied for the league lead. But he got it. Dunbar got him there.
24-yard strike to Dunbar. Leak right up the middle again. Good pickup on first down here, actually. Going to be about 7 for Javon Leak.
Boy, I really like the play calling right now by Jordan Maximic. And, you know, when we talked to Coach Killam, we talked to Trey Ford this week and asked them about how that relationship is going. How is Trey Ford and Jordan Maximic, the offensive coordinator, working together? He says it's interesting because we're still learning each other. You know, Maximic's trying to figure out, what does Trey Ford do well? What is he best at? And going back to these RPO calls.
Final play of the opening quarter. Ford, draw, back to Leak. Flag flies as Leak takes it down inside the 25. But this looks like it's going to be coming back against Edmonton.
Yeah, it looks like a hold up front. mentioned the change up
Holding
front.
Edmonton number 61. It's a 10-yard penalty. Still second down. That's the end of a quarter.
Mark Evans getting the start, picking up a penalty, wipes out a first down at the end of the quarter. And pretty good first quarter between these two clubs. Bombers have dominated Edmonton for years now. Elks hanging tight. Well, there you get a look at Canadian flag added to all of the jerseys here across the Canadian Football League. And great time to do it here with Canada Day weekend now underway.
Yeah, happy Canada Day weekend to everybody, all our viewers across the country. We hope that football brings us all together. That's what Canada Day is all about. And yeah, those flags will be on the jerseys for the entire season, home and away, or the special third jerseys that some teams have. And there is the commissioner. He's in Winnipeg, Stuart Johnston, that we talked to last night.
Yeah, we had a good chat with him last night about where the game is at right now and where he wants to take it. And as he said, we are a league that is made in Canada and played in Canada. This flag is a symbol of unity, pride, and a deep connection we share with our fans from coast to coast to coast. This emblem represents more than just a country. It represents the spirit of our game and the communities that support it.
So happy 158th year of our country. 112 of those years we've handed out the Grey Cup.
That's a good run. That's a good run. 3 to the left, 3 to the right. Julian Grant's got it. Trying to push ahead because they're trying to make up those penalty yards. They won't get there for the first down. It'll be third down and a likely field goal attempt. Blanchard will come out. He's 2 for 4. Bounced back last week after a tough start. 31st overall pick in 2024. 38-yarder from just inside the left hash. So Blanchard looking for a 4-point lead. And that one is up. And it is through, no problem. Edmonton puts points on the board. Once again, we're talking Canada Day weekend officially underway, kicking it off. Happy to be here in Winnipeg for the Thursday nighter. Friday night football tomorrow in the Hammer. Montreal perfect on the season. We're going to be heading to Regina for the Riders and the Lions on Saturday, and then the Argos and the Red Blacks in a big East battle on Sunday.
Panel will be there on Sunday in Ottawa, and tickets are going real well in Saskatchewan for that one. Of course, here, the Canada Day weekend to kick it off. 7th straight sellout. Way to go, Winnipeg.
Beautiful night, though. Perfect. Well, 24 degrees at kickoff.
They have a great tailgate going on. The Rum Hut. Look, you can't get a seat in the Rum Hut.
I don't think you're allowed to sit in the Rum Hut. I think you have to stand over in the Rum Hut. Winnipeg, of course, starting on their 40 here. Kolaris gets it out to Dembski. Made one man miss, now another. Dembski up to the 50. And that first down earned by Nick Dembski as a couple of Elks had a good look at him.
Well, the ankle looks fine.
That's true.
It really does. I mean, this is the type of play where you can tell. Right? You know, when he has to make stops and starts, those cuts and moves inside, taking the hit as well. That's where you're testing that ankle, and it looks just fine.
Kolaris 7-9 for 75 yards and a touchdown. Dumps it off to his running back. That's Cooley into the game. And Cooley is tied up and taken down immediately.
Take a look at some career numbers. Of course, this is Nick Dembski, who led the team last year in almost every receiving category and closing in on Darvin Adams in Bomber history.
Back-to-back seasons for Dembski with 6 touchdowns in each of those years and 1,000-yard campaigns.
Well, he led with targets at 111, receptions with 76, yards over 1,000.
He's in the slot to the left of Kolaris here. He wants a deep shot. Instead, lays it over. We fall to the end zone. Touchdown, Winnipeg. Carrick Weekfall does it again. Second touchdown of
throw it any better. This is Zach Collaros on the money, and Wheatfall does not break stride. He's going down the rail, doesn't break stride. The ball falls right into his hands. Almost, there's no chance of defending that.
Yards receiving in his first 2 games of the year. And as Suits said, a strike from Collaros to the end zone for Wheatfall.
Another explosive for Carrick Wheatfall. And I don't know if you can cover it any better. Bynum's in a press coverage position here, man-to-man at the top of the screen on Wheatfall. He's running right in his hip pocket. He looks like he may be getting a ball call even from a teammate in Cordell Jackson over the top. So he knew the ball was coming, but that ball was thrown with such great accuracy. Wheatfall didn't break stride, dropped in his hands. Another explosive for number 88.
The longest completion of the season for Collaros, 52 yards. Arkell Smith takes it at the 10. Back to the 20. And he's wrapped up immediately, isn't he? Down the field in a hurry. Chris Ike was there for the special teams tackle. Well, how about Zach Collaros moving up the ladder a little bit more?
Kevin Glenn. Remember him well? Played against Peter Brock.
He had a cannon. Zach passing. Kenny Plain. 4th all-time franchise passing yards. Got an extension for next season as well, so he's far from done. Trey Ford in his career kind of just getting started. 1st and 10 on the Edmonton 20. On the ground, Leaf again. Back to the line of scrimmage. No further. Big 2nd down play coming up here early in the 2nd quarter.
Yeah, that was Kyrie Wilson just stepping up on the run and making a stop after seeing it work for Trey Ford on 1st down for a whole 1st quarter. So Jordan Younger, defensive coordinator, getting them dialed up and saying, hey, on 1st down, they're running to the running back, to the tailback. They'll have to stay wide to contain Trey Ford in case he bails out of there.
They allow just 66 yards on the ground per game this season. That's 2nd best in the league. Likely a throwing situation here for Ford. Pressure up the middle. Ford trying to escape. Can he find a little bit of room? Oh, he's in trouble here. Jefferson on him. Ford turns, heaves it down the field, and it's out of bounds. Javon Leak went up to get it, but could not stay in bounds.
You know, I heard the panel talk about it, and they made a good point that Trey Ford can't live off this. This is where he's got to progress because, but, you know, I'll take 3 or 4 of them just for the fun of watching and just try to create something out of absolutely nothing, get it to a receiver. Now, Leak is out of bounds. That's the correct call. But, I don't know, it's fun to watch.
It's highly entertaining at times. Kick. This is going to bounce right at midfield and go out of bounds just inside the 50. While we're talking about Trey Ford, when we return, we'll have a little bit more on his twin brother, Tyrell Ford, with Britt Dort here in Winnipeg. Well, he was the big offseason prize for Edmonton. Tyrell Ford, excellent last season for Winnipeg. 7 interceptions. For more on him, let's send it down to Britt Dort.
Well, Dustin and I chatted with him during warm-ups about the return to Winnipeg, and Tyrell told me, I didn't really think about it. I actually wasn't very fazed about coming back to this place that I once called home. He said, until I took to the field in warm-ups and I realized I was stretching right where the DBs used to practice every day. So I asked him, okay, tell me about facing Zach Collaros, though. Which he said, hey, Zach used to beat me a couple times in practice, but I also used to beat Zach in practice when I'd go against him. To which Collaros this week did call him savvy, and that.
Could have been called a lot worse.
One quick question after we show you his production from last year that Britt talked about. 7 interceptions, led the league, well, second in the in that category. And you look at the pass knockdowns, he was leading the league in that and tied in that category. And I'm wondering why he's got 2 mouth guards.
That's a great point.
Let's get Brett on that.
Color coordination. Brett. That seems weird. Empty backfield for Zach. Down the field. Dembski. How did he do that? Oh, Dembski's ridiculous. He hauls it in and he takes it home. Touchdown, Winnipeg. Spectacular stuff.
Take a look at the defense. Metier goes to cover down on Dalton Schoen, so it's a double team to that side. That's the indicator for Zach Collaros that he's got a one-on-one on the deep route to Nick Dembski, and he'll take that. He doesn't even look at who's trying to cover him. He'll take that matchup no matter who it is.
6 touchdowns each of the last 2 years. He's got 4 already this year, and Winnipeg, just like that, has a 10-point cushion.
Royce Metier, the safety, is the indicator for Zach Collaros that he's going to go to Dembski. There's Metier up there. He's usually back in the middle of the screen right here, and with the deep help for this seam route from Dembski. Dembski's got the deep route. Go ahead and run it, and now it's a one-on-one with no safety help in the middle. Zach Collaros throws it up there, and you're right. How does he win that battle? We've asked that a bunch throughout his career, haven't we?
He's been doing it for a long time. Last 3 drives for Winnipeg, 3 touchdown passes. Collaros has touchdown passes on 3 of his last 5 completions. 191 yards on 10 of 12 and 3 touchdowns. Mentioned he had a huge game last year against Edmonton as well. And this one is off to a mighty fine start. Edmonton will now have a chance to respond. Deep kick. Leak goes back and takes it. Returns it up to the 25. Ran into some heavy traffic. And that's where he'll go down. Let's take another look at this fine piece of work from Dembski.
Well, those are 2 deep balls, one to Wheatfall, one to Dembski. That there was pretty good coverage on the play. I mean, it's straight man. You can see the coverage was quite tight. I think that was Garnes again, the cover linebacker that was really stride for Dembski, but that concentration was there. He rips it down and scores.
Collaros with a 60-yard touchdown to Dembski, 52 to Carrick Wheatfall, and now does Edmonton, who looked good offensively early in this game, can they find an answer? Rankin, nowhere to go.
So here's the change from Jordan Younger on defense. That's the second time we've seen Kyrie Wilson step up and make a play. There's Wilson. There's Cramdy. This is basically called a run blitz. And even Tony Jones will get involved. Tony Jones steps up. You see how he takes the gap, the linebacker. He's not worried about pass on first down. He's not dropping out of there or trying to find a man. They're just taking gaps away to try to take away this run on first down.
So do you start to pass on first down a little bit?
You got to go to play action, or get it out to those bubble screens outside.
3 receivers wide side right for Ford. Just 3-man pressure from Winnipeg. Still causing issues, though. Ford on the run. Can't get away. Taken down. Tony Jones, the former Elk, gets home.
So this is called the spy. And Tony Jones was the spy. Now, Jones is back here, and watch how he slow plays this into the middle, waiting for Trey Ford to bail on this play. He doesn't like what he sees initially. Stop it there. Now, still no commitment there from the linebacker just yet. He's waiting to see where Ford is going to scramble to, and then he makes his cut and move, and he tracks him down with a great tackle angle. That's a spy technique to perfection.
Babo waits just outside his own 45. Header kick this time from Grace. Now he bobbles it. It's sitting there. Edmonton's going to scoop it up. And how about that for a turn in momentum? Bonhomme's got it. And Edmonton will take over. Vavel probably want another crack of this one. Off his shoulder. Turned over. Well, the rookie out of Minnesota State, Trey Vavel, has shown some good bursts. Unfortunately, bobbled this one.
Yeah, you know, I read an article in the Winnipeg Sun about Vavel, and he said he had so much to learn about Canadian football, the size of the field. He wanted some punt returns, and he called it the 5-yard restraining zone. I'm still working on the 5-yard restraining zone, and the reporter said, well, that's called the halo, but okay. And there's the former special teams coach, now head coach in Edmonton, pretty fired up about that.
Oh, they needed a spark. Winnipeg had taken this game over. Now they're going to bring some pressure forward. Gets it away. Finds Dunbar. Dunbar got one tackle and then takes it down inside the 45.
So that's a little wide out screen there, a little bubble screen or screen to the outside, where if on first down, Winnipeg wants to commit their linebackers to stopping the run, that should mean there's less numbers out there to tackle a receiver. You get the ball out there quickly.
Dietrich Nichols on the tackle. 2nd and 5 from the Winnipeg 45. Rankin slides out in the slot to the right of Ford. Trey looking around. Finds his running back Rankin. First down. Winnipeg's on it. And just like that, Edmonton gives it back. James Wouters scoops it up.
Reddick Cramdy's caused the fumble, and Wouters picks it up. And it was Cramdy who was in charge of trying to cover Rankin out of the backfield to the left of your screen. Rankin beats him up while Trey Ford buys more time. Then Cramdy comes up and strips it.
Great punch out.
Yeah, bow, right there. Punch the ball, tackle the football. Recovered by Wouters, and you're right, Edmonton gives it right back to Zach Collaros.
Collaros dumps it off. Up to the 40. And that is Krzyzak. A touchdown called back last week on a offensive holding penalty. Has the catch there. Oh, great play by Cramdy. 6 tackles, special teams tackle, a knockdown already on the season. Coming into this game. Kind of been brought up through the system behind some pretty good linebackers there for a while. Now has an opportunity to continue to do the job here. On the ground, pushing it ahead, first down. And it's the former University of Alberta Golden Bear, Matthew Peterson, with his best carry of the ball game.
Going to see a little bit of both. Matthew Peterson, Brady Oliveira not in the lineup for the 2nd straight game. Quentin Cooley we saw earlier in the 1st quarter. But when you take a look at their production last week, they're going to see a little, or this season, they're going to see a little bit of the ball, both of them in this one tonight. And Matthew Peterson can tell his buddies there was a week he led the league in rushing.
And he didn't know he was starting that week.
Nope, it was week 1. Brady Oliveira had 2 carries, by the way, for 49 yards.
Yeah, he's averaging 24.5 yards per carry this season.
Yeah, two carries for 49 yards in that first game. And then he was injured. Matthew Peterson comes in and puts 130 on the board, and that led the league that week.
3-yard completion to Wheatfall. Short pickup. 2nd and 7 here for the Bombers on their own 50.
They put Peterson out there to see if it's man or zone.
He's at the top of your screen. Collaros gets it away. Wheatfall again. This will be very close. If they don't give it to him, it'll be Streveler time.
So they Pedersen out there on the wide outside to see if a linebacker tracks him. If a linebacker goes out with him, it's man-to-man. If a linebacker doesn't go out with him, they're playing zone. Saw zone, so they hit the underneath throw.
Cordell Jackson there on the tackle. Third catch of the game for Wheatfall. They do get the first down. And Winnipeg works from the Edmonton 53. Collaros with time again. Down the middle, yes, Schoen! And a tackle made at the last second. Schoen had something cooking there, didn't he? Winnipeg marching on. Offense looking unstoppable here in the first half.
Well, we've officially lost Enoch Mwamba. Sure, he's somewhere in the building, but we're going to break down Trey Ford's first half. How about this Bombers offense? And you know what, Dustin? I was expecting it. Are you kidding me? When Nick Dembski scored his second TD. Come on, Dusty.
I'm sorry. I don't want to overuse it, and if you'll say, oh, you can't come up with anything else, but I understand the criticism. I do.
Don't go down the rabbit hole, man.
Let's see what happens on this play.
Stay off socials.
20 to 10. First and 10 from the Edmonton 30. Three options out to the left for Collaros. That's where he's going to look. Pressure coming. Gets it away. It's Pedersen. Stayed on his feet. Got a couple extra yards, and that'll bring up second down with 2.5 to play.
Yeah, Brandon Barlow got a little pressure on him. I was just about to mention after that throw in the crosser to Schoen that tons of time now since I would say the second or third series for Zach Collaros. I mean, he's gone 11 for 11 in the last few series here because he has got time in the pocket. So I can talk about
with
zone
assistance
defenses.
From the video official, the ball being spotted at the 30-yard line. 30-yard line.
Elbow
second
touched.
down.
Elbow touchdown by contact. But, you can talk about zone defenses or man-to-man defenses or coverage in the back end and how you're doing that. But you give Zach Collaros lots of time in the pocket like he's had in this second quarter, it doesn't matter what you're playing in the back end.
Edmonton's defensive line, their starting defensive line, does not have a sack yet this season. And this is a defensive line that has won championships out east. They do not have a sack. The only sack comes from Noah Taylor, who's one of the backup defensive ends. Here's Collaros now. Tosses it ahead to Pedersen. Sneaky little play by Zach. Pedersen, though, can't get free and is blown down. Still fighting. Not listening to the whistle here. Now they'll separate him. So Collaros once again finding a way to get the ball to his running back. But that'll bring up third down and a Castillo field goal attempt.
It just may be an important series for the Edmonton defense, and holding Zach to a field goal attempt here. It goes 27-10, and that's a deep hole to dig out of.
Castillo will set up for a 35-yard attempt. Just inside the left hash. Looking for a 13-point cushion. No mistake this time, right down the middle. That'll do it. Great show. Watched them all. I'm a sucker for the Trailer Park Boys. What can I say? So still time here. 142.
Yep.
Ball's on the 40. Small victories here if you can hold them to a field goal and then maybe get one yourself to end the half. Ford 6 of 8 for 84 yards. Nothing on the ground yet. Right up the middle. First down, up to midfield.
Javon Leak having a little bit more success so far on his touches than Rankin.
Well, I love the move once he hit the line of scrimmage and he turned his whole body and shoulder pads to the outside. Watch right there, like he's going right outside. And Jamal Parker got to pick up some shoelaces and things like that, get back organized.
He bid on that one, didn't he?
Yeah, he bid on that out cut.
From the 54. Winnipeg brings a bit of heat. Ford gets it away. Dunbar pulls it in. Oh, he was not going to allow that one to be ripped away, and he's got him down inside the 45. And Edmonton's offense starting to cook a little bit here late in the second quarter.
Yeah, that's the definition of a contentious catch. That's just basically winning the fight for the football. Bond's in good coverage. Got a clock manage now.
3 options out to the left for Ford. That's where he's going to go, to the 40. And that'll be another first down as he gets it to Julian Grant. Moving quickly now, Edmonton, with that clock ticking on them. Definitely within field goal range for Blanchard. But they want more. They need more here. Ford gets it away again. Dunbar hangs on. Taken down by Griffin. Shy of another first down, but second and extremely manageable with 47 on the clock.
Well, Jordan Maximic may go in at halftime and say, you know, this no-huddle offense,
let's keep her going.
Let's keep it going in the second half.
Dunbar back to the top of your television screen. Leak again up the middle. They wanted the first down, and they get it just outside the red zone.
Yeah, I'm not sure you have to take a shot just yet. You have a chance maybe 3 or 4 plays.
Oh, yeah.
If you're efficient and work the sideline.
Winnipeg brings the punch. Ford feels the pressure. Avoids it. Throws it to the end zone. Julian Grant lets it slip through his fingers. Ouch.
Perfect time for Trey Ford to use his athleticism to beat the blitz. He gets outside of Cranley. He's got a chance with a wide open receiver in the end zone and can't finish.
Right off the melon. Ford will have to regroup. 2nd and 10 on the Bomber 21. The crowd at Princess Auto Stadium trying to bring the Bombers home here in the half. A little confusion there by Edmonton. Flags are going to fly. Ford under pressure again. Off to the races. Dumps it off. Arkell Smith. And once again, a flag there. You saw Edmonton moving bodies around. And I don't believe they had an end in place.
Procedure, no end. Edmonton. That penalty's declined. It's 3rd down.
You hear coaches all the time with struggling teams say, you know, it comes down to, guys, a couple of plays. Just 1 or 2 plays. If we change the outcome of those plays, we can start winning games. One was the Rankin fumble a couple of series ago after the fumble in the special teams. That will be another one where Coach Killam says, you know, 1 play, guys, concentration, focus. Make those plays, it's a different game.
Blanchard 1 for 1. 29-yarder here to end the half. And he does make good on it. 10-point game at the half. Should have been 17 for Edmonton there, so they leave 4 points off the board.
And I'll be interested to hear the panel's analysis of Trey Ford when you consider what happened there with Julian Grant, where he scrambled against a blitz, beat it outside, had a wide open receiver, and didn't work. Dembski, on the other hand,
terrific,
making those catches.
Terrific. This guy was a game time decision, and he's
got 82 yards and 2 touchdowns from Zach Collaros. Tremendous opening half for Nick Dembski. And he is standing by with our Britt Dorton.
Well, Nick, you keep the streak alive, and you do it with 2 touchdowns. Just tell me how you've been able to be so efficient with the help of Zach out there, too.
Yeah, just being on the same page. I mean, Zach and I played for a couple of years together, so it helps that way to have that chemistry. But, I mean, he puts the ball where it needs to be, so, you know, it makes my job easier.
Well, and he's doing that for a lot of your offense tonight. What do you like about the way that you look, and how can he carry that into the second half?
Yeah, he's dialed in. I mean, our whole offense is. You know, O-line's doing a great job protecting and giving him time to throw. Our receivers are on the same page. Running backs are doing what they got to do, so we just got to keep it going, keep the good momentum, stay on the same page, and finish this half out right.
Thanks so much, Nick.
Thank you.
Well, we'll send things off to Kate and the panel.
What a tremendous first half from Nick Dembski and the Bombers offense. We'll get to that in just a minute. Back alongside Enoch Mwamba and Dave Naylor. And Glenn Suter mentioned it right before the break there. And Trey Ford. Our analysis of the first half is pretty simple. This is the best Trey Ford we think we've seen. Yes, there have been a couple of mistakes, but, I mean, Julian Grant makes that grab. You can't throw it much better in that situation, and he is keeping this team alive in this game.
Yeah, no question. You know, I spoke this week to Jordan McSimic, the offensive coordinator of the Edmonton Elks, and what he said was they know it's going to take time to develop Trey Ford, and the only way he gets that development is live reps. And the way he stays as the Elks quarterback is showing improvement week after week after week. And you certainly see improvement from game number 2 to 3. Here he is standing in the pocket, find Arkell Smith in the middle of the defense, gets some nice yak yards afterwards as well. And you know, here he is buying time. That might have been a play where we would have seen him take off. Another time, he throws it to Justin Rankin. Unfortunately, you get the fumble that creates the turnover. But here's a couple critical plays. These are second and long plays after Winnipeg took the lead. And Trey Ford tries some magic. He's lucky he threw this one out of bounds because this could have gone the wrong way. Those are plays that we know he's capable of doing magical things. They also could be plays to get him in trouble. This one, not so much his fault. 3-man pressure. He beats past the guard to get a sack. But overall, you know, we saw those couple of plays. But before the half, we see Trey Ford kind of back again, establish himself in the pocket. And the throw to Keon Julian Grant, I mean, that's a 99 time out of 100 he's going to make that play. But when you're winless, these are the things that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. But I also like the fact that we're seeing improvement. Now, look, there's still a second half. You might get things together. But at the same time, if you don't come out with the win, what does that really mean?
No, I agree, too. I like the play calling for him in this game, too. I think it's giving him opportunity, and you're right, too. He's staying in the pocket in a couple of these opportunities.
It's pretty conservative. Like we haven't, the only time we've seen him throw the ball deep is off of the scramble. We haven't seen any design plays on that.
No, so we'll see what happens in the second half. Meanwhile, when it comes to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, I mean, this is like a well-oiled machine, and it's almost unfair. It seems like Wheatfall has come into this organization and just taken it by storm. And Nick Dembski, just the connection with Zach Collaros and him. I mean, the Elks had a great start to this game, but just Winnipeg has fired right back.
Okay, perfect offense always beats perfect defense. And we saw a few examples of those with Nick Dembski when Zach Collaros is throwing the ball to him. I mean, if you're not going to put pressure on Zach Collaros, this is going to be a long night for you. Right there, he's got a pocket. Nick Dembski catches it, gets right into the touchdown as well. And every single time we're looking down at that Zach Collaros right now, his pocket is pretty comfortable. This one right here, one of the things that I look at when I'm looking at this defense by the Edmonton Elks, they have to be in sync. They have to be on the same page. If you go one-on-one in the up front, meaning you're bringing pressure, the back end, you got to bring enough pressure to Zach Collaros to bother him, or else you're leaving the back end to drop. But this one right here is pretty good coverage on the DBs, but still, they're able to catch the ball. Nick Dembski had another one as well where he had an opportunity to, he had a DB right next to him, but still was able to make the catch. The second half right here is going to be a long one if they're not able to put pressure on Zach Collaros.
Well, I understand the nature of the focus that's on quarterbacks. All the conversation around the CFL is about Trey Ford. How long are they going to give him the leash? But I mean, the bigger issue, frankly, on this team is this defense. You know, the defense that they spent a ton of money on in the offseason so that games would be close and Trey Ford as the quarterback wouldn't have to chase games in the second half, and he's going to have to chase one in the second half again.
And Glenn talked about it in the first. He talked about the DBs on the Winnipeg end. Well, the DBs on the end of the Edmonton Elks as well have to be able to come down with those 50-50 balls.
I know. I will tell you, though, the Dembski play, and we talked about this, that was a fine play, honestly, on the defensive side of things. Coverage. That is just Nick Dembski and what he can do. Ball skills. It's unbelievable. So it is a great start for the Bombers. The Elks right there as well. We've got a 10-point ball game. Much more coming up after this.
Pay the price at the greatest cost. Time for the showdown, we'll take it all. Yeah, we'll take it all. Yeah, we'll take it all. Yeah, we'll take it all. take it off. Right, it's the moment I've been waiting for. The hard work is paying off. Yeah, pay the price at the greatest cost. Time for the showdown, we take it off.
Well, here's the rest of the Week 4 schedule of Friday Night Football. It is the Alouettes taking on the Tiger Cats. By the way, Canada Day weekend in the CFL. It feels a little early to be saying that, but it's true. Lions and the Rough Riders on Saturday, and then we will be on location in Ottawa for the Canada Day game as the Argonauts take on the Red Blacks. You can see pregame at 6:30 Eastern. Well, this is something you really don't want to talk about Week 4 into the CFL season, and that is the injuries to the starting QBs as we take a look. Davis Alexander currently out with that hamstring injury. Nathan Rourke, we know, is a game-time decision. He's been dealing with an oblique injury. Trevor Harris, now a game-time decision. And Drew Brown, is it a hip pointer? Is it an oblique? All we know is that Jamal Thurman got to him pretty bad on that play. If you look at that list, who are you most concerned about not having their starting QB?
Kid, I'm going to go with Drew Brown. Drew Brown is their starting quarterback who's the first game that he did play threw for over 400 yards. The only quarterback to have done that this season so far. And his replacement, Matthew Schultz, and then you also have Dustin Crum. Yep. None of them have come anywhere close to that. So you got to figure out and then think about who's going to generate the offense on that side of the ball for the Ottawa Red Blacks. And so I'm really concerned for those guys over there.
I'm going to go with the BC Lions. And look, we all know what Nathan Rourke can do. We saw in week number 1 before he suffered the injury that he has qualities of an elite quarterback in this league. And, you know, there's a lot of experience behind him in Jeremiah Masoli. Unfortunately, not a lot of experience over the last couple of seasons because Jeremiah Masoli has been so plagued by injuries. At this stage of his career, he just doesn't have that much recent playing experience. Then they've got Chase Bryce with him as a young player who, again, hasn't played much in CFL football at all. So, you know, that's what you look at. The number 1 quality teams look for in a backup is experience. Right. And because in Jeremiah Masoli's case, it's experience from a while ago, when he was last healthy, I think Nathan Rourke and the Lions, that's a big drop-off for them.
Well, and you think, too, I mean, this is why a guy like MBT, this is like a guy like Jake Mayer, and we talked about this before the season even starts. It's a luxury for this team. I mean, for Davis Alexander right now, to have a guy like MBT stepping in, I mean, this makes sense. Absolutely,
and you look at the Ottawa Red Blacks, right? They got 2 guys that are just runners, 2 guys that haven't really been able to throw the ball down the field, and to your point, Kate, the experience also isn't there, and now the Montreal Alouettes are a team that are saying, hey, we made a good decision this offseason.
All right, well, the Bombers currently up by 10 on the Elks. We'll get back to Winnipeg for second half action right after this.
Passes on. A picture-perfect night at Princess Auto Stadium, and a pretty good one for Bombers fans. 23-13, they lead right now. 232 passing yards in the first half for Zach Collaros. How do you slow him down? Tyrell Ford stands by with Britt Dort.
Tyrell, you've seen what this Bombers offense can do. How do you try to contain them here?
Honestly, they're not doing anything special. They made a couple good throws and a couple good catches. We're right there on both of them. So we just got to start making those plays.
What has it been like for you being on the opposite side of the ball at Princess Auto Stadium?
Honestly, it's been like any other game of the year so far. Nothing too crazy.
Well, you do have the crew curious. We have to know, why do you have 2 mouth guards on your helmet?
I just thought it looked cool.
There you have it. All right, thanks so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I would agree. I mean, I think it looks cool as well.
It is cool, yeah. It's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Start a trend. I like it.
You know what? People watch and go, they're not doing anything special with Zach, still 232 yards. But as he said, you know, we were there. Yeah. We have to make plays.
Well, the Wheatfall touchdown throw, Bynum was right in his hip pocket the whole way. That other deep throw to Nick Dembski, Garnes right there. So, yeah, I mean, they have them covered. The right defense was called in their mind, and Zach still beat him. That's just winning the play.
Second half action underway. Castillo will get us started. This will be taken by Arkell Smith just inside the 20. And he's hammered the 30. Nowhere to go on the play as Ayers gets down the field. He's a special teams monster.
Isn't he? I mean, great coverage. Not picked up in the lane. You better get the linebacker running full speed on the cover team. Just chip him a little bit. Get him off his course because Ayers just makes the hit.
for 114 yards in the opening half, but his team does trail by 10. They'll start it on the ground with Rankin trying to pop it to the outside, and he gets about 5 yards. This game to down 10. Could have been a little bit closer.
Yeah, and Justin Rankin is wanting to make up for this. He did a nice job to get open and present a target for Trey Ford. This was after a Bomber score or turnover, and Trey Ford was looking to score, and then this big drop. You know, and when you're a struggling team, and the guys talked about it at halftime, when you're a struggling team, you got to just make those plays. I mean, it's really simple. And I agree 100% with David Enoch's evaluation of Trey in the first half. He was improving. His accuracy was excellent.
He's going to keep it now on the run by himself. Slides after picking up the first down. It'll be a fresh set for Edmonton.
As Kate mentioned, there was some innovative play calling from Jordan Maksimic that, you know, at times in that first half kept the Bomber defense a little off balance. Then the Bombers adjusted. Jordan Younger went with some run blitz with their linebackers to take away that type of play. I think the Elks are discussing a possible late hit on Trey Ford.
As Vaughters tracking him down from behind after the slide. Ford, deep drop, wide open. It's Julian Grant again, and he's got it. Down to the 30, to the 20, to the 10. Redemption. Julian Grant takes it to the end zone, and Edmonton strikes early.
Boy, they needed that coming out of the halftime dressing room. Little pep talk from Mark Killam. Guys were right there. Got to make those 1 or 2 plays. Blitz coming. Again, Tony Jones on the blitz. Linebackers trying to add some pressure with Kyrie Wilson. A bust in the back end, which you do not see on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Trey Ford found it and beat him.
Blanchard to make it a 3-point game, and that one is good. Wobbly on the way there, but got it done. Ford with a 68-yard strike, no drop here. Julian Grant takes it all the way to the house.
Well, this is a busted coverage, but what an important play for Keelan Julian Grant. He's going to do this long crossing route. There's a crossing route the opposite direction, and watch how it pulls the coverage. One of them is Jamal Parker. Again, new to the free safety position, had a big game versus BC. Stop it right there. 1, 2, 3 Bomber defenders are taking the one crosser. Julian Grant opens up on the backside up here. Trey Ford finds him, and I can tell you that is a load off the mind of Julian Grant. I mean, after the drop in the first half, to come back, make the big play, make the catch, and then finish it with a touchdown, that just exercised some demons right there.
His second touchdown of the season. Balonal found a little bit of space and then eventually ran into Kobe Williams. Here's a look at a huge first half for Zach Collaros.
Yeah, Enoch mentioned it as well, and if you don't get some pressure on Zach Collaros, they've talked about they've spent some money on that D-line. They spent some money on that defense in Edmonton. You don't get pressure on Zach, doesn't really matter how tight a coverage you're going to have back there. First of all, he's got top-notch receivers, world-class in that category, and he puts it where they get the best chance at ripping it down. Nick Dembski had a couple. Wheatfall had one. He was on a roll, 11 of 11 to end the half.
Can he pick up where he left off? They'll start it on the ground, and nowhere to go for Quentin Cooley.
You know, I'm sure there's a lot of Edmonton fans, too, that look and they go, we got Nick Anderson, we got Niles Morgan. What is going on? Well, those guys need to work off the pressure from the D-line. I'm not trying to just pick out one part of their defense, but because it's a entire 12 players that have to contribute. But if they don't get a push up front, and try to dent the pocket against the pass or fill the gaps against the run, the linebackers are making catch tackles.
Passing situation for Kolaris, and he goes over into the reliable hands of Dembski, but it's not enough. That'll bring up 3rd down, and they'll be forced to kick it away here early in the half.
Just as Dembski got up from that hit, he looked a little wobbly. I don't mean from like a headshot, but from the ankle I was wondering about, because but he's okay. Jogged off.
Jamison Sheen stands just inside his own 30. Gets it away, far side of the field. That's taken just inside the 30, and now a little bit of room to cook on the near side for Javon Leak. Leak will get to the 50, midfield, great field position on a tidy little return from Javon Leak. TSN.ca, and of course, on the TSN app.
Connor McDavid to Las Vegas, no?
I'm going to slap you, Suits. What are we doing here? I know we're friends, but still.
Kidding. Edmonton, I'm kidding.
Great field position here. They'll start it on the ground. Tackle made immediately. Kyrie Wilson busted in there with the initial context.
It's quite the chess match going on, really is. I mean, Jordan Younger picked the right time there to run that linebacker run-stopping blitz again, and he got the exact play he needed to get Trey Ford in 2nd and long here. Now, Jordan Maximic, it's his chess move. He knows he's going to have a spy, probably Tony Jones, number 33, who's going to spy Trey Ford in case he tries to escape. He's sitting right here.
There's 3 on the line. Jones will watch. Ford's going to throw. Far side of the field. Up for grabs. Dunbar tried to one-hand it. Working against Bridges, but he couldn't haul it in, and it'll be 3rd and 10.
In the first half, the Bombers offense made those plays. He's up here in the second, and then this second half, we've got a chance to a one-on-one for Edmonton to see if they can make a play. Inside rush by Jefferson almost gets home, but look at Bridges, not interfering, keeping his eyes on the eyes of the receiver and Dunbar. When he looks up and those eyes get big, that's when you look and play the football.
On his own 10 to return this kick off the foot of Cody Grace. Gets it away cleanly. End over end down into the waiting arms of Vavel. And he runs out of room just outside his own 15-yard line on a beautiful, absolutely beautiful Thursday night. The Thursday Night Football on TSN. Let's flash it back about a decade here, Suits. Zach Kolaris finding an offensive lineman for a touchdown.
Touchdown 39 in his career to Ryan Bombin. And last week in BC, in his first game this year, he hits Tui Eli, the extra offensive lineman for the Bombers, in his 201st touchdown throw. So two offensive linemen in his career, a decade apart.
They don't need him just yet.
Well, after the catch last week, he put out, I think, on social media.
Winnipeg number 61. 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
He put out on social media that he's going to set up some receiver camps in the offseason.
He probably should.
Well, it was not the typical offensive lineman trick play. In fact, when you ask Zach about the play, and he talks about his athleticism as a big man on the offensive line, but the way he caught it and how he catches and practices stuff, he said, it's not a trick play for us. It's a passing play for us with Tui Eli.
Well, we'll see if they dial up it again. Here's the draw play to Cooley, but multiple flags as he came out of the backfield.
So 201 to Ellie in BC for Zach.
Offside. Edmonton number 40. That penalty's declined. Second down.
They'll take the play there. And so now let's see the totals, because he's got 3 tonight.
He does.
So 204 in his career, closing in on Dieter Brock.
Incredible list to be on for Zach. When before he got to Winnipeg, you were wondering, well, what's left in his career? He's been in a few places. Can he stay healthy? And he's just become a Hall of Famer here. They'll give it to Dembski, but he's tackled immediately by Serezna. His biggest play of the season.
Yeah, and I don't think that's an exaggeration. I really don't. That's a big play on this defense to get a stop on 2nd and long, and Serezna makes a play. We talked to him this week. He told us that the defense has got to start contributing with sacks, with big plays. We've got the personnel, and he also said, you know, we're close. We can see it in practice. We can see it on film. We're very close. Well, he's leading by example there.
Decent field position looms here for Edmonton. Leak will take it on the run just inside the 50. And he's taken down on Winnipeg's side of the field. Tackle for a loss from Serezna as he returns to Edmonton this season. There's a flag on Serezna here on Canada Day weekend, and what better way to celebrate Canada Day weekend with that victory in flag football.
Yeah, congratulations to Paul LaPolice's flag football team Canada down in an international bowl friendly, beat the United States in their first game, beat Japan twice, and Australia. They went 4-0, and congratulations to the women's team as well, Rachel Lassard. And that women's team only lost 1 game. So between the men and the women, 1 loss in the whole tournament. Qualifying comes up next year. Can't wait. Good job, Lapo. Nice work.
Down by 3. Ford takes the ball. Hit as he throws down the field. That's going to be intercepted, but there's flags. It's taken away by home. Julian Grant was down on the turf when that ball arrived. And is this an accidental pass interference, maybe?
Yeah, he knows it. I think Evan Holm just got up and he knew. They just tripped. Got the feet tangled. Accidental pass interference. That's a 10-yard penalty, not point of foul. Unless there was some hand action that we couldn't see from our angle. But let's take another look. Julian Grant's the middle receiver. Running the corner route, shallow corner. Well, the right
accidental pass interference.
Yeah.
Winnipeg number 31. It's a 10-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
Mike O'Shea thinking about it on the sideline. And is he going to challenge that it wasn't even incident? Look, the flag is out. Hasn't dropped it just yet.
This extra
blown in.
This extra time.
He's putting it away.
Okay.
He's putting it away.
And maybe because it was accidental. It's only a 10-yard penalty.
Might have had a case there, though.
May have had a case.
May have had a case. First and 10 on the Winnipeg 38. Ford pump fake. In trouble, trying to get away. No, they'll take him down again. Kyrie Wilson at the 50 with the sack of Trey Ford.
Trey Ford is asking for some penalty here. We'll see Kyrie Wilson, who, again, if you don't spy, you have to contain and have extra containment. You see him spying back here. He started there, and then he moved up the field, waited for Trey Ford to get outside, and then he closes quickly, gets the sack. I didn't see any penalty there at all.
Loss of 11. Pushing him back, likely out of field goal range here as well. Crowd will crank it up. 3 on the line for the Bombers. That's all they send. Ford gets it away. Arkell Smith inside the 40. Inside inside the 35, and that will put them back within field goal range to possibly attempt to try this game.
Well, there's a growth moment for Trey Ford. He didn't try to force anything. He threw it underneath, let Smith go and get back into field goal range. The points are important. You're down by 3. Make sure the drive ends with some points, or at least an attempt here. Good decision to throw the under.
Blanchard 2 for 2. This will be 41. His long on the year is 42. Just inside that left hash. Cody Gray still holds. Blanchard puts it up, and he puts it through. And we are tied at 23. What a way to kick off the week in the CFL. Nail biter here between the Bombers and the Elks with 5.5 to play in the third. Well, Jake Serezna is back in the green and gold and back making big plays for this defense. For more, let's send it down to Britt.
Yeah, and he talked about a different energy this time around with Edmonton. One of the biggest reasons he decided to come back to Edmonton, Demetrius Maxey, the assistant defensive coordinator and special teams coordinator. And, you know, he's been with him for basically his entire career. He was with him in Edmonton for the first stint, to Toronto and back. Now, both coming back Grey Cup champions. And Serezna said that's the biggest deal when it comes out here to Edmonton, how comfortable he is this year. He said it's basically a weight lifted off my shoulders, knowing that, hey, no matter when my CFL career is over, nobody can take away the fact that I have a Grey Cup ring now.
There you go. And Serezna, big piece. Familiar with all the other guys on that line as well.
Well, you mentioned off the top that, you know, this is an all-star group, really, a group that are champions with Robbie Smith, Serezna, Brinkman, and Brandon Barlow. He is the leader. And that happens quite often where a coach like Demetrius Maxey, familiar with some players, and the free agent wants to sign with a coach he trusts.
Tie game, Kolaris, Cooley, line of scrimmage, maybe a yard ahead, as we see a little bit more of Quentin Cooley here in the second half.
Yeah, that's something that is unusual about this Bomber offense tonight, which is less run. That is usually where they start and how they finish.
Just 5 in the first half.
Yeah, that, you know, and Brady Oliveira not being here may be part of it, but it certainly hasn't bothered him in the first 2 games against the Lions. Leading the league after 2 weeks in rushing the football per game.
Claras throwing here, second and long. Pressure from behind. Serezna gets their first sack of the season for Serezna.
Well, he is absolutely tonight walking it like he talked it to us on the Zoom. I mean, he took responsibility. He said, I got to lead by example. He said, we got to start making plays. We got to, especially in crucial situations. We all know how to do it. We're close. He's made some plays. Tackle for a loss on Dembski. That sack. A couple of big hits.
He went through Stanley Bryan on that one. That'll be booted away. Just inside the 30. Flag. Can't escape anyway. Winnipeg, 3 straight 2-and-outs to start the second half. And Serezna having a bunch to do with it.
Against a 4-time outstanding lineman who has been an all-star in Canadian football 8 times. It's a heck of a power rush right there.
During the return, illegal block, Edmonton number 32. 10-yard penalty, first down Edmonton.
Yeah, you don't surprise or overpower Stanley Bryan very often.
No, you don't.
There's a reason he's been doing it for a decade and a half. At the top of the game, too. But illegal block call here, so this will back up Edmonton on the return. And the ball will be on their 20. Please settle in and stick around with us. Good ball game brewing here on a Thursday night in Winnipeg. Extra protection, extra blockers, and that's what they'll be used for as they hand it off to Leak. Wilson with the tackle before he can get up to the 25. It'll be a pickup of at least 3, maybe 4.
going to bring in a little bit of extra blocking help on those rundowns. Seeing more of Leak after the first quarter than Rankin.
Leak has 42 yards on 7 carries. Rankin 25 on 6. Trey Ford's taken off just once for 6 yards. Here they come. Bombers bring heat out to Mathis. Intercepted. Taken away at the 25. Bonds. Terrell Bonds with the takeaway. And Winnipeg's defense strikes.
Was a full blitz from Winnipeg, and there's going to be a free guy. So Mathis has to recognize this quickly, make sure he opens up for a target. Where is the free guy going to come from? The linebackers are coming. It's a full blitz on Trey Ford, so it's got to be to the hot route. You see all the gaps are covered. Free guy off the edge. That was Lawson. So it's the hot route to the outside out and just jumped.
The previous play is under review.
And they're taking a closer look at this interception and if he survived contact with the ground. Let's see. Tough look there. Well, boy, did he jump that, didn't he?
Yeah, he knew it was the hot route, too, because he knew his defense is blitzing. So if he's going to run the quick out, it's going to be hot, and I'm jumping it. Cut underneath that. Looked like to me on that first angle that the ball never touched the turf. This might be the best look at it. Ooh, did it slide through underneath his arm? That's what the replay
Did you see
center's
that
looking
ball
at.
come underneath his body before? Let's see, what's this one say? Tough one.
Yeah.
Tough.
Yeah.
Not sure there's a great look. This one would have been the best look, but I believe our view is blocked.
Looks like it slides down there a little bit, and yeah, it is. A strategically placed bomber helper.
We're going to need you to stand right in front of that one replay camera. Okay, watch here. Right there.
Yeah. Boy, I wonder if that's ball
Is that
hit
enough?
the white stripe.
Is that
Yeah.
enough?
Is it enough to overturn it?
Significant moment in this ball game. Great play by Bonds.
Absolutely.
Either way.
Yeah, aggressive to jump that. You know, the downside to that is the double move, of course, but Trey Ford didn't have time. There was a free rusher. Bonds knew that. That's why he played it so aggressively, but we'll see what the replay center says.
Winnipeg will be inside the red zone.
Boy, they're taking a long look.
Is this the best one? Okay. Oh, this is the best view we've had. It definitely hits the turf, but did it move?
Yeah. If it definitely hit the turf.
Let's see if we can
enhance it.
Get a bit more of a look at it here. But this, I think, is the best look we're going to get at it.
So the first stage is he doesn't really have control there. The tip of the ball, yeah, I think it touched the turf, but was it enough?
But I think you mentioned the control right here after to run it right there, guys. As it rolls, watch this right here. Does that ball slide down right there? See?
Yeah.
That ball's not controlled right there for that moment.
And then the tip of the ball touches the turf.
This might come back.
Yeah.
Huh. This is big. This is a big moment in this football game right here. We're giving you as many looks as we can. Oh, here we go. Oh, here's another one.
This one.
All right, everybody at home's like, it's an interception. It's not. What is it? Here's the call.
After review, the ruling on the field is overturned to an incomplete pass. It's third down, Edmonton.
it here late in the third quarter.
Big time. Michael O'Shea, the head coach, and this sellout crowd, they knew because it was taking as long as it was taking.
You worry about that, right?
Yeah, if it's not immediate, it's probably something up.
We'll get the ball back, but it's a field position difference. Grace gets it away. Babel takes it at the 35. Little hesitation, hangs on to the ball. Tackled immediately. DK Bonhomme, who had that recovery earlier in the game on special teams, makes the tackle here. And Winnipeg will start on their own 41.
Yeah, different than the 14.
Way different.
Yeah.
Making an impact on special teams, right? The guys who are just on special teams, you have to find a way to get a couple of check marks by your name for the game, don't you?
And by the way, that's how you make your way to the starting defensive lineup, being great on the teams.
3 straight 2-and-outs for Winnipeg. Kolaris looks to change that here with one bomb down the field, and it's incomplete. Dembski, double coverage. Metier, Kobe Williams, both there.
Yeah, and this is what happens when you're a struggling team. You're 0-2 out of the gate. You just don't quite have the confidence. This was Metier's ball or Kobe Williams' ball. It's overthrown, and Dembski can't get to it, and now they just don't quite have the confidence to go ahead and track it because they're still wondering where Dembski is. They're running side, and they're hesitating. Kobe Williams hesitated, and then he just couldn't get there.
It looked like he had eyes on it.
Yeah, but then
Metier never did, but Williams did, yeah.
But then he thought, where's Dembski?
Well, you might want to keep tabs on that guy. Kolaris throwing again over the middle, dumps it off. Peterson tries to lower his shoulders, push it ahead, but he'll be stopped well short of the first down.
So this was the throw before. We've found something that Zach Kolaris didn't quite feel right after that deep throw.
Stretching out that back a little bit. Had completed 14 in a row prior to that deep shot to Dembski that did not work. Leak slides under it just inside the 20. Made a couple of men miss, but eventually a pile of Bombers team up to take them down.
We'll keep our eye on Zach Kolaris and see, but he went right to the bench after that. Looked like he was maybe stretching or maybe pondering just how he might correct that deep ball the next time he attempts it. Says when he's down there on the sideline in between series, doesn't talk to very many people. He'll get on the headset occasionally, but he likes to just lock in.
1st and 10 for Edmonton. Ford out into the flat. Julian Grant working against Cramdy. And Cramdy wraps him up. That's about half of what they needed on first down there.
Well, if you're an Edmonton fan, you're excited about the play of your defense in this third quarter. Maybe a switch has been hit here in some ways, and that doesn't mean that Zach Kolaris doesn't have something left, but he's got a whole fourth quarter to work with. But the defense for Edmonton put together a pretty good third quarter there. Game's tied going into the fourth. Something to build on.
4 2-and-outs. Yep. Ford, near side. Dunbar has it. He's thrown out of bounds. Has the first down. There's Cramdy again. Fifth catch of the game for Dunbar comes at the end of the third quarter. And how about this? Bombers 23, Elks 23. Fourth quarter,
on TSN. Welcome back to Thursday Night Football. We got a tie game here, 23-23 between Edmonton and Winnipeg. And, boy, Edmonton's defense, best football they've played all year, I think, in that third quarter.
I agree. And I think that's, if you're an Edmonton fan, that's what's really encouraging about this game right now. First of all, it's a tie game against top team in the West. Secondly, your defense stopped hitting the snooze button. The alarm clock has gone on, and they're playing. Jake Seresna made a couple of plays in that quarter. Defense is covering down, had Dembski on the deep ball, got to Zach Collaros and registered their first sack from the D-line. So all stuff that they can build on against a very good team on the road. So you want to see improvement. I think Coach Gillum has seen that. Now, can they finish?
Well, we just said when we were in commercial break there, Zach is still lighted up in the fourth quarter.
No question.
He's a guy who's certainly capable of that. Had a huge first half. First half for Collaros, 232 yards. He's just got 246 now. Edmonton has the ball, 1st and 10 on their own 35. On the ground. Rankin this time. Just shy of a 5-yard pickup. So back to Justin Rankin. And they give him 5, so it will be 2nd and 5 more here for Jordan Maksimic. Hanging tight here, and they haven't really got Trey Ford on the run yet at all. He had 1 carry in this game for just 6 yards. That's high for Rankin. And will fall incomplete. And that'll bring up 3rd down, and Edmonton will have to punt it away themselves.
Tony Jones has quietly had a real good game for this Bomber defense, and he's been asked to spy. He caught Trey Ford on one of his scrambles. This time he's going to take Rankin out of the backfield, and when Rankin goes out as sort of a dump pass release valve here for Trey Ford. He was well covered by Tony Jones. Ford is lucky that didn't go the other way.
Cody Grace hangs one up there. Babel just inside the 20. Made one man miss. Find a little bit of room on the near side. And then he's taken down. Broderick was there and made sure he could go no further.
Took him right off his feet, this tackle. Looked like he might have had something. That's a short side return. Look at that tackle in midair.
Talking about this a little bit earlier. He has shown flashes of real speed in the return game.
Oh, yeah.
Had that ball like, there's something there.
There's no question he's going to break one at some point. Yep.
2nd overall pick a couple of years ago. Special teams tackle. Collaros wants to throw here. Near sideline. Cassius goes up and gets it. Tracked down from behind by Metier. But the Bombers are in business.
Cordell Jackson can't believe it. He can't believe it. This is again a confidence issue in the back end for the Elks in their secondary. He's cutting under this ball and he loses his footing. He's trying to track it down because he is in between Collaros and Clercius on the sideline, and he has a chance at it, and then he trips, falls down. Big catch, and you're right. They're in business in plus territory.
He's thinking interception.
Absolutely.
And then his feet had other ideas. Didn't help him out there. Collaros now. Edmonton's going to bring some pressure. Zach gets it away. That's up for grabs. Incomplete. Anderson working there against Dembski, who is looking for his 3rd of the evening. And things are heating up in Winnipeg.
That's a deep drop by Nick Anderson to get underneath that deep throw. Zach Collaros, again, he understands there's not enough blocking up front, so the pressure's going to get there. Now, can he get it? Look how deep Nick Anderson is. He's looking at Dembski and basically playing the play. He gets underneath that. Boy, Dembski almost pulled it down, didn't he?
Well, we would have got the "Are you kidding me?" or "What is happening?" on that one, just so Kate knows. That would have been it. Collaros again, 2nd and 10. This time, Bynum goes
who's slow to get up. Incomplete pass.
Oh, good to see he's fine. Sometimes those helicopter hits. He's just upset he didn't hang on to this, but sometimes those helicopter hits are okay because both players are kind of in the air. They're not planted. Good timing by Bynum.
Castillo for the lead in the fourth quarter. 30-yarder just inside the left hash. And Winnipeg goes on top. They were hoping for a major, have to settle for 3. Carrick Wheatfall looked to bounce back from this pop. Get ready for WNBA action as Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever go up against the Wings. Tune in tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on TSN. Big hit by Bynum, who's been beat a couple times tonight. He makes the play on Wheatfall, forces the Bombers to settle for 3, but it's a lead for Winnipeg at home. Trey Ford give us here. On the run to his right. Lays it out there, broken up by Holm. Looking for Julian Grant. But Holm got a hand in there and batted it away.
Evan Holm is so quick. That quick twitch burst from Evan Holm, I think best in the league. We're talking defensive backs. The closing speed. The back pedal, come out of that back pedal, transition to that quick burst and make the play.
Huge second down. Winnipeg going to bring everybody forward. Gets it away. Incomplete. It was Holm again. Working and locking down Julian Grant.
This is what I mean. First of all, if he's going to play in the blitz coverage, he's got no help in the middle, so he takes inside leverage, opening up, and trusts that he can close quickly. He doesn't even backpedal there. Actually, Evan Holm is just hopping, waiting for Julian Grant to determine if he's going post or he's going corner, and then as soon as he makes that decision, he closes in a heartbeat.
From his 30. Vowel waits. Takes it at the 15. Runs into trouble. Gets clobbered just shy of the 25. As Collaros takes the field here with a lead in the fourth quarter. And in the past with Brady Oliveira, you know what happens at this time, right?
Absolutely.
It's a 7-8-yard drive. Most of it on the ground. And they seal it away. Let's see if it's a little bit different without Brady Oliveira, who's in there, T-shirt in behind.
Yeah, looking at the play chart. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Brady Oliveira get that 7 yards. They can go with the fly sweeps to Nick Dembski.
He's hitting his helmet.
He gets fired up. The O-line gets fired up, and they drive it down the field and seal the deal.
Peterson in there now. Zach's going to be throwing on first down. Down and a little bit more.
Well, looks like that was a long throw to make. Canadian football with the field as wide as it is. You have to be on time there, which he is, but it's also a long throw to check out his back. We were watching that from the Serezna hit a couple of series ago. Looked like he was trying to stretch it after a couple throws, but after that one, he looks fine.
300-yard game. This one away. Down the middle, almost intercepted. Metier went after it. Flag back by the quarterback. And what's this?
Roughing the passer. Edmonton number 3. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Hongbo.
Well, the handful of plays, right? The handful of plays that if you make them, you win games. If you don't, you lose them. There's another one you can add to the list because the Edmonton Elks were off the field. Good read, but there's coverage down there, and Metier sees it and plays the football nicely. Elks defense off the field, but it's extended by lack of discipline.
And the Bomber 52. Peterson. About 4 yards on the first down carry.
Big one here in that one more first down gets you right on the doorstep of field goal range at the very least for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The Elks go with pressure here.
I don't know. I don't know what to do against Collaros when he's on here. Gets it away quickly, shown, cuts it back, first down Winnipeg. Managed to escape from the first tackler and then moves the chains.
Not him, shown on the outside there.
Collaros is 22 of 27, 3 touchdown passes, and he's got the ball working from the Edmonton 46. This time in the belly of his back. Big hole for Peterson. Looks like another Winnipeg first down.
That's the formula. On first down, run the ball, positive yards, in field goal range now. But of course, Zach Collaros wants more.
Metier with the tackle, second level. Winnipeg moving quickly here. High snap. Collaros hauls it in. Guns it down to the 25. Dembski's there. Edmonton saying incomplete. And we wait for a ruling.
They're talking about it. They're saying catch, I believe. They're placing the ball.
Winnipeg lined up, ready to go here.
Trying to get a play in quick before.
Peterson straight ahead again. Takes it down inside the 20.
They're trying to get that play run quickly so it couldn't be challenged.
They were moving very quickly.
Speed call from Jason Hogan, the offensive coordinator. Now he's back. Now he's settled into that formula. Run on first down, get your 7 and 8.
2nd and 2. Strevler into the game. Strevler pushing ahead. Might have got it. If he doesn't, it'll be 3rd and inches. Probably just do it again.
Yep. You have Strevler. You have Tommy Stevens. Saskatchewan. Takes a lot of the worry for head coaches out of it.
Mr. Automatic, usually. So that's what they'll do. 3rd and inches. Strevler doesn't need much. Can the Edmonton defense somehow push him backwards? No chance. Strevler straight ahead. And that is a Winnipeg first down, and they march on as the clock ticks towards 6.5 minutes.
And leave Strevler out there.
They did this last week once too. 1st and 10. Strevler in. Hands it off to Cooley. Upended immediately. Cordell Jackson, the halfback, had slid down. Upends him. And it'll be second down and about 8.
Conventional wisdom says full blitz. Send the house. Now you're playing 0 against Dalton Schoen and Windfall, and 0 meaning no safety in middle, no help, and you're one-on-one.
Collaros waits. Now he takes it. Edmonton does bring a blitz. Collaros trying to get it away. Scramble. How about that from Zach? Does it himself. Winnipeg with a bit of a cushion, courtesy of their quarterback.
It was full blitz with Niles Morgan hanging as a spy, and Zach Collaros in open field makes a miss. Doesn't do it often, but that's big.
Castillo to make it a 10-point game. And he does. Zach Collaros caps off an 11-play, 86-yard drive with his 3rd rushing touchdown in the last 10 years.
13-yard run, his 3rd touchdown in the last decade, and he beats one of the top tackling linebackers in the league in Niles Morgan. Go ahead and run, and I'll show you Niles Morgan. Not yet. He's coming to the left of your screen, and he overruns Zach here and opens up that hole. That is a nice move in the open field on one of the top linebackers and tackling in the league. And he wasn't stopping. He wasn't hook sliding down the 3-yard line. He knows how important that was with the time left on the clock to get to 2 possessions.
Hey, Strebler can do it. Why not me? On the return, Arkel Smith stops at the 30. Collaros, 2 rushing touchdowns in 2023. His last one before that, Hamilton, 2015. CFL Canada Day weekend action returns tomorrow as the Alouettes take on the Tiger Cats. Catch all the action 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on TSN. Special guest on the panel, Wynn McManus of the Argos is going to slide onto the desk.
Nice. Is he allowed to bring the toothpick? But I think Kate said no toothpick rule. But and she runs it.
There's no shirts here. Tarps are off. Niles Morgan looking distraught over on the Edmonton sideline after getting beaten by Collaros there. Ford, he's going to look to respond. Dunbar, can he get it? No, got turned around. Fell down, couldn't make a play on it against Marquise Bridges.
Okay, well, there's lots of time on the clock, and I'm not sure taking the deep shot unless it's, a bust or something like that. And Jordan Maximic has done a real nice job of play calling, although, there are plays designed in the intermediate and short that have a deep receiver, but he's not the primary. It's that choice to go deep, second and long, when points are absolutely necessary now. Sense of urgency has to be there.
Got to find 10 yards here first. From the Edmonton 30. Ford over the middle of the field. Dunbar saw it go over his head. Gittins Jr. didn't even look like he thought it was coming. And it's incomplete.
I'm not sure how many targets Gittins Jr. has had, but he looked like he was running a route didn't look back at all. He's at the top here, and
that was meant for him, wasn't it?
I think it was.
That's just his 2nd target of the game, if it officially was his. Just 1 for 6 yards so far for Gittins. Slow start to the season. So they kick it away again with 4:15 to go. Babel returns it just shy of the 50. And Collaros, 300-yard game. huge fantasy performance here. 322 yards, 3 touchdowns, and the rare rushing touchdown.
Yes.
Just a
13-yarder.
Monster start to the week here.
300-yard passing game already with time on the clock and chance to put more points on the board. They got a 2-possession game going.
Completed 14 in a row at one point.
And then the third quarter. And that Edmonton defense responded in the third, got 4 2-and-outs against Collaros in this offense. And Niles Morgan is still talking to himself about that missed tackle.
And then Winnipeg had the drive. We've seen them win so many games here at home with that fourth quarter drive that eats 6, 7, 8 minutes. They had that again, and now they're in the driver's seat. Collaros throwing here. Clercius has it. Takes it back just beyond the 50. Short pickup on first down. Clercius' third catch of the ball game.
Timeout, Edmonton. Timeout, Edmonton.
Stop the clock.
Please reset the game clock to 3:42.
They'll dial that clock back up to 3 minutes and 42 seconds. Mark Killam still looking for that first win. Attempt number 3 here. The organization has not won here since November of 2018. A lot of those losses were much more embarrassing than this one. Let's see if they can get a stop here. They're going to bring some pressure. Collaros gets it away. Schoen has it. He's got a first down. Tackled by Bynum. But he already had the yards he needed.
Yeah, they put Dalton Schoen in the one-on-one to the short side of the field, and if the backer comes, which he does, both come, Niles Morgan and Nick Anderson, then there should be no underneath coverage to get in the way of this throw. So Collaros puts it nice and low so Schoen can protect it against Bynum coming from behind him.
With the chains, but that is being fixed on the sideline. First and 10 for Collaros. Hand it off right up the middle. Another first down as Peterson takes it down to the 35. Winnipeg will look to seal away another one at home here at Princess Auto Stadium as their dominance of Edmonton appears to be continuing. Well, it's been a tough start, to say the least, for Edmonton. 0-8 in 2023, 0-7 in 2024, and on the verge of going to 0-3 tonight in June and July over the last 3 seasons. Just cannot find a way to get out of the gate on the right side of things. Peterson stands in behind Collaros. He's got 33 yards in his last 3 carries. Takes a couple of steps over to the left of his quarterback. They'll give it to him. Peterson cuts it back. Battle hole. Tackle was made by Nick Anderson.
Yeah, it's a tough one for Edmonton now. I mean, they can't afford to go 0-7 again, as the panel talked about before the game started. And Mark Killam is trying to develop a really talented young quarterback, but he's got Cody Fajardo there. I know there's been already talk of how long do you wait there, even though I would suggest that Trey Ford, for 3 quarters tonight, his play improved and he took another step forward. You know, I think the last series with the 2 deep shots with 4 minutes to go, bad decisions.
A little ill-advised.
Yeah.
Here's Peterson again, and he continues to march down. Not an easy schedule. I mean, with that being said, I mean, there really aren't
many easy games in the Canadian football league.
Well,
but BC, Montreal, Winnipeg is not an easy start today.
Not at all. But I'll quote the opposition coach here in Coach O'Shea. When I asked him about his schedule, and I said, is it a good thing to have a bye in the first week?
Yeah.
And he said, Glenn, the schedule is perfect no matter what it says. I don't want to ever create an excuse or...
You got to play them all.
You got to play them all. You got to play the teams that are on the schedule in that particular week. If we have a bye then, whatever, it's perfect. Let's go.
Less than 2 to play. Peterson again. Nowhere to go this time, so he just pushes it ahead. I am a little surprised tonight, though, that Trey Ford ran the ball one time for 6 yards. I mean, we know how good he can be with his legs and how it might open things up a bit. He had 1 carry for 6 yards tonight.
Part of that, though, you know, I think it was around second quarter when he escaped and Tony Jones ran him down.
Yeah.
Caught him in for a loss.
He was sacked twice, actually.
Yeah. And, you know, sometimes the scheme restricts it, putting one-on-ones in where I think Trey Ford thought, well, I'll give my receivers a chance to make the play. But, again, you know, they want to see progress week in and week out with him. I think they could make the argument that he made progress tonight. But the Elks keep piling up. Those losses keep coming.
Here's Peterson lunging ahead down to the 15.
And here's the bottom line. I mean, a third quarter is a good sort of Edmonton, okay, this is what we can do, so they can start believing. They're going to look at some plays like the interceptions they could have had, but we're not confident enough to go run them down, and say, well, those are the ones you got to make. The mistakes on a fumble, the mistakes on a drop in the end zone, you know, change those, and the game is different. So, you know, there's a lot where they'll say, what about? But at some point, Trey Ford's going to have to put this team on his back and win a game. And then everyone will say, okay, let's give him more time.
Castillo strokes another one through. And Winnipeg on top by 13.
And, you know, one of the great sort of aspects of Zach Collaros is when it was tied at 23 at the end of the third, and they're going into the fourth, and he almost threw that pick. The one that Kobe Williams was close, not sure, not quite confident enough to get it. And he kind of walked off after that 2-and-out, kept his composure like he's doing, you know, he's celebrating now, but locked in again and put together the long drive. Game over. You know, and that's what the veteran quarterback does. He's not too high, he's not too low. He missed a deep ball that was almost intercepted. He said, okay, I'm going to file that one away, and it's gone now. Came back out there and put together, you know, 2 scoring drives that made it a 2-possession game.
Edmonton with 8 2-and-outs on their 14 drives tonight. Minute and 20 remaining. They're about to get the ball back one more time. Castillo into the night. Taken at the 10. By Lee. Broke 1 tackle. Lee will take it out to the 40. Close to the 50. They're going to mark him out at the 49. There's an injured Elk back on the 25-yard line here as well. Athletic therapists are out to take a look. Beak remains down on the sideline there. Let's take a look at this.
Borderline late hit here on the sideline. Now, once you're engaged, it's hard to know. I think some of the Elks took exception to Cadwallader throwing Leak into the bench there.
Leak seems to be okay. Maybe a little bit of a limp. But yeah, there's a member of the Edmonton special teams unit that is down on the far side of the field here at the 25.
believe it's Tamari Fox. He gets rolled up on here. Let's get a look.
I think that's him right over there. Yeah, oh, there's the...
Being helped off the field. First year out of North Carolina. Trying to make an impact on special teams. I might sideline him for a little bit. Winnipeg did not have a first down in the third quarter, but in the fourth quarter, first downs are 11-0. Winnipeg. Ford in trouble. It's Willie, and he throws him down. 75th sack in the career of Willie Jefferson.
There's a milestone of three-man pressure. Willie Jefferson. Great hands to use those hands to get around the block attempt on the outside by Martez Ivy. Down at the bottom of your screen now. Can he get another?
Ford gets this one away. That is caught and will be a first down as he goes back to Julian Grant, who had a big drop late in the first half, but answered right back with a huge touchdown to start the second.
Yeah, that was one play. Get that one back. Now, he made that touchdown, made up for it, and it happens. I'm not suggesting that you're going to be perfect all the time, but struggling team, you got to make those plays.
A little bit in behind Arkell Smith, but he's able to hang on and be second down. 37 seconds on the clock.
So the Elks will host Ottawa next, then BC. So they have back-to-back games at home.
Got to find a way. Pick up a victory at home. Near side, that's Mathis. That's his first catch of the game. Ford had 300 yards passing last week. Just shy of 240 right now. Waits. Far side. Finds the big fella again. It's Mathis for a first down with 8 seconds on the clock.
The Bombers will travel to Calgary and then have a bye and then play Calgary again.
Well, for some of you watching right now, a shot to the end zone could mean something. Ford steps up. He's going to send one to the end zone. Dunbar can't get there. And that is going to do it. Bombers by 13 when it's all said and done.
And Zach Collaros put together the drives he needed in the fourth quarter. After 3 quarters it was tied, he put together 2 scoring drives in the fourth quarter, 11 first downs. And Mark Killam still trying to find an answer. Improvement in a lot of areas. Improvement on the defense in the third quarter. Some progress from Trey Ford for the first half for sure and into the third quarter. Tying the game on the road here. But some young decisions made in the fourth quarter by the quarterback and the play caller, Jordan Maximic.
Got to find a way to put it all together. Winnipeg, 0-4 last year. 3-0 here.
3-0 this year.
To get started this year. Zach Collaros started this game with a bang, didn't he? Outstanding first half for Collaros. He finishes the game with 334 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 of those touchdowns to Nick Dembski, who now has a catch in 74 straight. And Winnipeg, as they have done for the last 8 years, beat Edmonton again. Sports Center is next.
Welcome to SportsCenter. Mark and Glenn with you. An entertaining start to Week 4 in the CFL, especially if you're a fan of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Well, Zach Collaros, he's going to be 37 in August. He is slinging it. He is running. And, well, if you're the Elks, it's an all-too-familiar script to begin the season.
Yeah, a lot of winless Junes in previous years. But you mentioned Collaros. Still, those legs, he still got it. I mean, evading the tackles in the fourth quarter when the game is on the line. A three-point game, he makes that massive play that really closed it out for the Bombers. Winnipeg come in having won their last 12 games against the Elks. Collaros has been under center for 11 of those wins. Pick it up 10-6. Edmonton in the second quarter. Collaros throws a strike to Carrick Wheatfall. 52-yard score. That makes it 13-10 for the home team. Then, after the Elks went 2-0, here's Winnipeg driving again.
That seems weird. Empty backfield for Zach. Down the field. Dembski. How did he do that? Oh, Dembski's ridiculous. He hauls it in, and he takes it home.
That's Nick Dembski with a great catch and run for his second touchdown of the night. Collaros, he had a monster half, over 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. The Bombers up by 10. Meantime, the Elks still looking for this first win of the season. Late in the half, here's Trey Ford finding Keon Julian Grant in the end zone, but the ball goes right through his hands. Hit him on the face mask. The Elks,
sick.
settled for a field goal, down by 10. Edmonton driving to start the third, and Julian Grant gets another chance.
Deep drop, wide open. It's Julian Grant again, and he's got it. Down to the 30, to the 20, to the 10. Redemption. Julian Grant takes it to the end zone.
Oh, after that drop in the first half, it's Julian Grant making amends with the 68-yard touchdown. And the game's tied at 23 heading into the fourth quarter. After the Bombers kicked the field goal to take the lead, it's Winnipeg driving with under 6 to play. Here's Collaros.
Now he takes it. Edmonton does bring a blitz. Collaros trying to get it away. Scrambles, and now he's going to take off his own. Collaros to the end zone. He's got it. How about that from Zach?
What a play. Just a third rushing touchdown, actually, for Collaros in the last 10 years. That extended the lead for Winnipeg. They added a field goal late, and they closed this baby out to improve to 3-0. 36-23 the final. A huge game for their quarterback as Collaros moves into 4th on the Bombers' all-time passing yard list. The Elks now 0-3. They've lost 15 straight games in June. That dates back to 2019, a skid that started with a loss to the Bombers. And the Elks' loss also snaps a streak of 7 straight wins by road teams in the CFL. The last home team to win were these Bombers in the Thursday nighter of Week 2. To wrap this one up for us, let's go down the hall to Kate and the panel.
Alongside Enoch Mwamba and Dave Naylor, and we begin with the ageless wonder that is Zach Collaros. 334 yards, 3 TDs. And probably the most impressive of the bunch was the rushing TD he got, just the 3rd in the last 10 years. Dave, he put this team on his back, and he was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was a real bounce back for Zach Collaros because we always forget right now that to begin the second half, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers had 4 consecutive 2-and-outs. And, you could see Zach Collaros on the sideline kind of looking a little stoic, trying to figure this out. But when the game was on the line, you saw his veteran experience rise. And that's basically a big part of the difference in these games. You've got a young quarterback who's still developing, and you've got a guy who's been there, done that in those kinds of situations. Zach Collaros threw the ball to 7 different receivers, had at least 2 catches tonight. And, of course, his dramatic run where he goes to the end zone looking more like 24-year-old Zach Collaros from earlier in his career. One of the things last year that dropped off for Zach Collaros a little bit was his ability to find the end zone. 17 touchdown passes all last season for Zach Collaros. In 2 games this year, he's got 5. He's almost a third of the way to his total from a year ago, 37. Looking like a bit of a bounce back year for Zach Collaros. Not that he was terrible a year.
Not at all. And I got to say, too, I mean, I think sitting that first game, watching, I mean, he came out firing in BC. He was even better in this game. And I love, too, when he did get the rushing TD. I mean, he tried to throw the ball. He didn't. He's like, hold on, I need to celebrate properly. It was just magnificent watching him. On the flip side, too, look, there's no moral victories in football, but you have to give credit a little bit to Trey Ford in this one because he did look a lot better in certain areas that we've really hammered him on so far this season.
Okay, you know Milt will hate us talking about moral victory.
I know.
But
Sorry, Milt.
If there's one thing that's certain is that Mark Killam and Jordan McSimic sat Tre Ford down and they talked about his ability to run the ball and why he needs to stay in the pocket. We saw him very much more, a little bit. He was really forcing himself to stay in the pocket, tried to see the field a little bit better. You can tell that the offense was a little bit more simplified. He didn't run for that many yards, only 6 yards. Zach Collaros actually outran him tonight, which I don't think
You didn't have that in the pool.
Never. We didn't think that was going to happen, but Julian Grant also did a great job tonight. One of the things that this team has to do if they want to keep going forward is they have to stop shooting themselves in the foot. You can't make mistakes, especially when you go down to Winnipeg with the crowd and with the type of defense and team that this team has. You can't shoot yourself in the foot. You see a fumble here by Rankin. You also saw a couple of times where the defense was almost making interception plays. They have to make those plays, and you see a drop in the end zone. You can't do that when you're playing against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and give them many more opportunities to get the ball for Zach Collaros. It's just impossible.
You know, I understand why they want to keep Tre Ford in the pocket. I get it. They took his driver out of his bag by not having him run at all. Like, I think that would have changed some things up when the offense was stalling a little bit, because that's still an elite skill set he has, and he didn't really implement it at all tonight.
It's that balance that they have to find, and it's getting really difficult for this team.
Yeah, I will say one thing, too. I mean, on paper going into this game, I think a lot of us were concerned. It didn't look good, and this ended up being a heck of a football game. Great way to start week number 4. And just back to Zach for one more second here. That is 12 straight starts. He has beaten Edmonton. If I'm an Elk fan right now, I want no part of Zach Collaros.
Sorry, Elks fans, you're going to have to see Zach Collaros here with Brett Dort.
Well, Zach, you had a strong start, but then after the third quarter, it was all tied up. What did you like about the way that your team responded in the fourth quarter to finish it off?
Yeah, I thought we were able to run the football a little bit in the fourth, which was good. We had some big second down conversions. We got to do a better job, obviously, of getting ahead of the chains on first down. We got to get much better at that. But you know, keeping our defense off the field. But, you know, we rallied there. I thought, you know, our grit and toughness showed there in the fourth, and we're having to close it out in front of our fans.
Well, speaking of running the football, how did it feel to use your legs to get into the end zone tonight?
I still feel 25. Most of the time. No, that was... I broke I don't know what happened. I broke a tackle or something, and then I was like, okay, I can score it. Yeah.
Well, it paid off for you. Yeah. Let's talk about Nick Dembski, because he went from being a game-time decision to coming in and getting not one but 2 touchdowns. What do you like about the way that you guys just collide out there?
I mean, he's the best. You know, I played so many reps with him and Dalton. They're just the best. Nick is the best. I've been saying that for years.
What did you like all around about your offense tonight? Because you were getting balls out to, you know, Stearns, like you mentioned, Schoen, Wheatfall.
Stearns is tough as nails. He's been a great addition to us. Casey made a huge catch for us there down the sideline to kind of break us out of that lull. And Wheat's been great since he showed up, and he's you know, really showing it this season.
How's it feel to be 3-0?
Feels great.
Thanks for this one, Zach.
Thanks.
Here's a look at the rest of Week 4 in the CFL. McLeod Bethel Thompson and the Alouettes are slight favorites in Hamilton tomorrow night on Friday Night Football. The Riders, they're hosting the Lions on Saturday. Both quarterbacks questionable for that one. And Sunday in Ottawa, the winless Argos are underdogs on the road to wrap up Canada Day weekend. All right, still, Inside Sports Center. The house usually wins in Vegas, but if they land Mitch Marner, that house will be too crowded. Insider Trading discusses which current Golden Knight we should keep an eye on.
Dalton Schoen, 6 catches, 75 yards, and the Bombers win, and he is new on SC with Britt Dort.
Dalton, what did you think about your team's efforts when it was all tied up and you're heading into the fourth quarter and you still find a way to come out on top here?
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to play the way we did the first half, the entirety of the second half. You know, I think we kind of hit a lull there, maybe lost a little bit of momentum. Proud of the group, though, for rallying. You know, you're always going to hit adversity in this game. So to come together like that, I mean, we got a veteran group with great leadership. So we felt confident we were going to pull through.
What did you think when you saw Zach get into the end zone?
Well, at first, when I saw him scrambling, I was kind of working for space because he normally throws those. And then when I saw him taking off, I was like, oh, no, because I was worried my guy was going to get him. But he hit a little move there, made my guy miss and got in the end zone. Needs to work on his celebration a little bit. I don't know what happened there with throwing the ball at the end zone, but I gave it back to him, and he got it on round 2. So.
Well, Zach talked to us, too, just about your excitement coming back this season, finally being able to get back out here. How has it been feeling for you?
Oh, it's incredible. I think we take so much for granted in this game, and when it's gone in a moment like that, like it was for me last year, it hurts a lot. And, we had a lot of guys on our team went through similar stuff last year. To be back out here with the guys and to be winning football games, it's incredible.
Your defensive end, Willie Jefferson, told us before the game it's all about playing Winnipeg football. So what do you have to say about being 3-0 right now?
I think we got a good group. We got a confident group. Like I said, we got a lot of veteran leadership on this team, a lot of guys who have won a lot of games, starting there with number 8. And so we feel confident that when our coaches are going to put together a great game plan, if we go out there and execute, it's not really about who we're playing, it's about us, and we're confident we can win.
Thanks, Swiss Lindahl.
Yeah, thanks, Britt.
We're back with Elks head coach Mark Killam after the loss tonight.
We got to figure out how to win games in the final 5 minutes. That's the difference between our football team and theirs. They're a group that's been there before, and we have to look at ourselves in the mirror and get better at what we can do better in that last 5.
Tyrell Ford at halftime said he felt like it wasn't like their offense was doing anything special. Did you feel that way too?
I don't know about all that. I mean, they play a certain type of football, and they ran it down our throats when everybody knows that's what Winnipeg does at the end of the game. So that's where we've got to get over the hump. We've gotten better 3 weeks in a row. But it's about winning, and it's about doing the things that we need to get better to be on the other side of this result.
What was it about that long drive that they had that Collaros capped off? Like, what were they doing?
I'll have to look at the film. Yeah.
Was there a positive to the fact that you were able to try to stop that run game, something that they're known for?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of positives in that. I mean, it was a three-point game with 5.5 minutes to go or something like that. I mean, I think it was pretty close. But like I said, we've taken some steps, but we're not there yet as a group. I'm proud of these guys. I think we got a lot of fight, and we have gotten better. But we've got to continue to do that so we can be on the other side of this.
How do you evaluate Trey?
All right, let's now hear from his quarterback. Here's Trey Ford.
And when you see Zach Collaros escape from pressure there and run in, I mean, what do you think when you watch a veteran like that be able to do that?
Yeah, I mean, he balled today, right? I think he threw for, 350 or something, right? And he had that rushing touchdown. He's getting a little bit older, but he can still move. So, a veteran quarterback, he did a great job today.
What about the Bombers' defense felt like it was tough on you out there in those games?
In the first quarter, honestly, we felt pretty good. And then we came out of the third and had that big play. We were feeling good, but then I feel like, they were able to stop our run a little bit more in the third quarter, put us in some second and longs, and they drop everybody once they're in second and long. But, I still think we were able to convert on a couple, but looking back, like I was just saying, there's a couple plays we missed. I know one play, our receiver slipped. We ended up coming back to the same play and was there, and I missed the throw a little bit high. So, you could always point fingers and try to blame people, but, we're a team. We're going to stick together. Nobody's pointing fingers. We just got to be better.
It sounds like, too, this is a franchise that has had some tougher starts to seasons in the last few years, but being 0-3 this year, does it just feel different? Does it feel more positive, like you're still trending in the right direction?
Yeah, I would say, because I feel like the games were, closer games. I think last year we had a couple close games early on, too. But yeah, actually, I wouldn't say it feels better. It always sucks to be 0-3. But, you always got to try to look for the bright spots as well. Learn from the failures. But yeah.